Welcome to Master Powercast. It's October, and it's going to be all things Scareglow on this episode. Tyler, we're going towards the end of the line, and this figure comes out a little bit before those that he's included with in the wave. So we're talking 87 wave, but the figure is released a little bit at the very end of 86. Of course, glow-in-the-dark gimmicks are always amazing, and maybe something towards the end of the episode once we've talked about Scareglow, maybe we can start reminiscing about all those other glow-in-the-dark toys that we really appreciated back in the day. But Tyler, Scareglow, of course, being easily one of the most expensive figures in the vintage line. When did you first procure a Scareglow action figure? When did you first find out about Scareglow? And because I'm assuming it's finding out about it, discovering it, and then trying to track down the figure, which during the time that you were picking up the vintage line, way cheaper back then than it is currently. So
I was not, I got Faker in the 87 way, so I know I had the Search for Killer mini comic, but it's one, it was, at the time it just was one of those mini comics that didn't leave an impression on me for whatever reason. Like I just don't remember the characters in it. It's more about the cross-out artwork on the back is what I remember that excuse me, or what I remember the most about it and the figure itself. And I wouldn't even be aware of the name until 1995, 6 or 7, when I found that Figures Inc. ad, and it was just a listing of like Master Universe figures, $20 a piece, Ninjor, Scareglow. And there were names like I had no idea. As like Ninja was that, is that like a? I had this idea that he was like, it kind of reminded me of one of the characters from Chuck Norris Karate Commandos. You know, that's what I thought. And then Scareglow, I thought, is this like a Scarecrow figure that glows in the dark?
Yeah.
You know, and that's a Horde Trooper and Clan Champ. Like that's all I had. It's just text. I didn't have internet or anything like that, so that's all I had to go on. I used to wonder, what the hell is that? And not until the Adam Tyner website went up, and probably at least that I came across like 96, 97, and I finally saw a picture of what he looked like. Like, oh my God, that's pretty awesome. And when I got eBay in like 2001, I think it was somewhere in that vicinity, because the summer of 2002 it was spent trying to get magazines in the 2002 line. So I think in 2001, I think I paid around $20 for Scareglow with the staff, no cape, but he was still relatively hard to find at that time. And $20 for me was like, I can afford that, but it wasn't like, you know, it was super cheap, because, you know, you pretty much have allowance and lawn mowing money to go on. So he definitely was not easy to find even back then, but definitely a lot more affordable. And at the time, the auctions were limited. So if you didn't have a cape, it didn't matter. It was more about owning the figure itself. And, you know, because money was limited, and the options of trying to find every figure complete just weren't there.
Right.
So I just took what I could get. So the one I have right there, actually, no, he doesn't have the staff. I forgot. He does not have it's just the figure itself. And I didn't care. And I still don't care, because he's so fucking hard to get in general.
That was going to be my next question. Did you ever down the road, like, I'll find a cape, I'll get a staff?
It was very, very few figures I really wanted to upgrade and get, like, you know, their accessories that went with them, things like that. And, you know, him and like a few others that I was just content owning them, because it was more about just owning the figure, unless it was like completely beat to shit.
Yeah.
And wanted to get like an upgraded version of it. So, you know, he's in great shape. He still glows in the dark. So I'm pretty content with that. And I don't sit there and lose sleep because I don't have a cape or his Scythe of Doom.
I mean, that's a great way to look at the collecting, to not have to be a completist all the time.
And a lot of people are crippled by that, which, you know, hey, that's cool. That's fine. Yeah. But I just felt like, you know, it was more about just owning that character. Like when I got Roboto in 1996 at a flea market, like he was severely color, like the color was deteriorating from his, like his legs were almost purple, and he had no arm attachment. It's just like broken off. But I was, oh my God, it's Roboto, and it's like $2. So it was a big deal, and that was my Roboto for the longest time before I finally got an upgraded one. So But Scareglow, I'm like, forget it, man. I
mean, yes,
it's ridiculous. I mean, I love that certain characters from this line had that much value, but it's just ridiculous the way some people are carry on about some of these characters for a line that just seems to be not like Star Wars, not like Transformers, but people want you to take out a second mortgage to afford a complete Ninjor or a complete Scareglow or a complete King Randor or Mosquitor. It's just, I don't, if this was a much more popular line, I would understand it, but it's dwindled in popularity so much. I'm like, I don't know how it's justified.
Yeah. Add on to the fact, I think, you haven't probably really seen much of it, but now they're doing like the Transformer crossover. So it's like,
yes, I've heard of that.
Transformer armor on character. So it's like He-Man is Optimus Prime armor. And I'm like, okay, I actually saw the Megatron Skeletor and the Bumblebee Man-at-Arms yesterday at Target, and I looked at them and I just shook my head.
So stupid. And then I think about the people that are buying it. I'm not trying to segregate you. I'm just thinking, where's the joy? Where, do you really think this very childlike, it's just like an idiot who does shitty customs for a living put this together?
Yeah.
And you're just like, where is the intelligence behind this? Where's the logic behind it? It's just, I guess people just clearly don't care. It's just mashing shit together. Oh my God, this is so cool.
Gotta have them all.
And it just makes it sound like, too, that He-Man is not worthy enough on its own.
Right.
And that's the most insulting part, is this line should not have to cross over with anything, period. Yeah. And yet I feel like this is what they're relying on, that and pushing, the sketchbook characters that, would have been a good idea in better hands,
Yeah, I see the sketchbook Cyclone at Target all the time. It actually got clearanced out because nobody was buying it. So, but going back to Scareglow and that figure, I often talk about when I would see the vintage line as a kid. In most cases for me, it was seeing them missing everything at yard sales and flea markets. Scareglow was one I don't ever recall ever seeing in the wild as a kid, which was strange. I think I didn't really find out about Scareglow really and seeing images until years later, and we'll get to all of that stuff, the classics line, seeing that sitting on your shelf and admiring, and like, I really need to jump in and get in on this line. And then of course, waiting years later after the fact and then having to pay way more money. Let me just because for people to see it, actually, let's just share these crossover things. I want people to see this Optimus Prime He-Man deal that we got here.
Just look at this bullshit. It's just so idiotic. There's no logic to any of this stuff. It's just really bad fan fiction brought to life in plastic form. And
admittedly, I think the packaging looks good with the rock burst, but then like at the bottom the transformer, like the grid,
yeah,
like that looks good. So I can the positives are there on that end, but no, yeah, just I mean,
dumb as hell. There's no logic to this crossover at all. Yeah, and the fact that they I don't know. It's like trying to talk sense about any of this stuff. It's just like there's no point to it.
But at the same time too, much like even when we were kids, Ninja Turtles was doing all the crossover stuff. They're still doing it because I saw the Godzilla figures that they did. I saw those at Target too.
Yeah, and I didn't want the crossover stuff at all with Turtles.
I didn't either.
No, I never. If I was giving in, it's because it was given as, hey, Tyler likes turtles, get him a turtle. So I never picked out any of that shit.
Yeah.
It's just, now it just felt like it's not so much kids are dumb. It's like I think adults are dumb. They'll buy this shit. Nathan knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and we'll start talking here about all of the Scareglow lore. So here are prototypes, early on stuff, magazine appearance kind of things. So as you can see here, we got this, but here is also the prototype.
Yeah, which I like. The crossover looks a lot like the prototype, in terms of like the bright white paint on the Skeletor figure. It looks really nice.
Yeah. And of course, like seeing this too around this time, having the cape accessory back then is pretty nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a shame that a lot of kids would lose things like this and the accessories along the way.
Yeah.
This Danielle actually contributed to this. So this
she
is
did.
Yeah. So we got toy number 3072, Evil Glowing Ghost. So I think in the character profile, there's a lot of contention, right, about what exactly Scareglow is.
Yeah.
And what are the two ideas that people kind of bounce back and forth?
They often feel that it's a ghost version of Skeletor or a ghost that serves Skeletor. But based on the description on the cross artwork on the back of the packaging for the 87 wave, that's where everyone fell evil ghost of Skeletor. Like people are like, well, what does that mean? And I didn't buy for a second that this was like supposed to be, a variant of Skeletor or like a future version where he's dead, and this is his spirit that's Skeletor summoned from the future or something like that. It just, I was like, I didn't buy that concept at all. It was just poor writing, and much like a lot of stuff with Master of the Universe, the people, the powers that be at the time were just kind of sometimes throwing stuff together and not really thinking about it too much. Some of it was definitely more thought out than others, but Scareglow, unfortunately, was one of those characters that was just kind of, I think they clearly had an idea of where they're going when you look at this, but then the final product, it's, that brief description. But then the mini comic itself, before we get to this, is like clearly had a much more distinct path of how this character comes into the mythology as well.
And speaking of the artworks,
yeah, beautiful across the artwork there, just stunning work. It's just, yeah, it's amazing. it's and there's something I think it pops more with that white paint, which kind of makes me wish we had got it like that.
Yeah, so you would prefer maybe instead of the glow in the dark gimmick, it's just the white paint?
Yeah, white paint. I mean, a Grim Reaper looking character cool. With I get why they pushed the glow in the dark, which it looks cool, but that white paint makes it look more just, I don't know, it looks more imposing, as if like it's a walking skeleton.
Yeah. I'll go back here to the prototype.
Yeah, that just looks amazing.
So you can see the prototype and then the figure we got. So you can see that the band here changed from white to black, which that was a good choice. It blends in better with the black.
I agree. Yeah.
Of course, we got the webbed feet.
And I wish the Scythe of Doom had been black. Green's fine. I'm saying if I was going to make changes to it, I definitely would have gone with the original black. Yeah. Like full on, like Grim Reaper, like, the interior of the skeleton is painted like jet black.
Right.
The weapon is black. Leave the cape purple because it's a nice color break. You don't want to just be white and black. I think the purple adds a nice touch to that. But glow in the dark, he looks amazing. It's a great head sculpt with the crack and everything. It's a work of art, this figure.
And not only that, the scythe you could get also glow in the dark. Yep. Yeah, so you have this, and then you also have the green one. I guess it varied at the beginning. I would have to refer back to what I have here on the Battle Ram blog. Link down below for that. Go check out the blog. Go check out the new org, Serial Geek TV. Check out Danielle's podcast that she does. But the thing here, Scareglow's weapon came in two flavors, bright green and glow in the dark white. The white version was principally sold outside of the U.S. and Canada, although some early U.S. versions came with the glow in the dark weapon as well. So you can see here, there's an example of the glow in the dark scythe within the card. So I'm kind of curious if the vast majority of them were sold outside of U.S. and Canada, but some early versions of the figure did include it. I wonder why they decided to switch the glow in the dark to the green for the remainder of the production run. It's an interesting choice.
Maybe because they started to realize that the demand for Master was still a bit stronger outside the U.S., so they felt like maybe we'd get more for our money,
right?
With including this more expensive accessory outside. Whereas, I think obviously I don't know at what point in '87 where they start to realize, okay, I think we're going to have to just cancel the line. What we had planned, we'll dump in Europe and other places around it, and then we're done. And then once that happens, then they start going, oh, let's see if we can repackage this brand here. So that's just a
Well, I'm kind of curious too of maybe how much it cost production wise to include a glow in the dark accessory in addition to the glow in the dark figure itself. How much they saved by just axing that and just making it green.
Well, and probably too, since I think it's too is that the last wave was in limited numbers, because I think that's what they obviously know is it's getting. They're putting out more and more. They realize, okay, we're gonna have to cancel this. So the numbers, I think, were a bit more limited. Well, yeah, or maybe not so much. I feel like I've read about this in years past, where, because then I think about like Figures Inc. I don't know how many of the last wave they had in stock, because it's hard to say. Like, did they have just a case?
Right.
And, no one ever bothered to buy it or whatever. And then once they're out, Like, or did they have like several cases of that last wave?
I'm kind of curious about back then during that time, how many places like that had the advertisements in the magazines, how their operation worked in terms of procuring these dying toy lines at the end. It's, I guess it's akin to how Ollie's and places get just bulk toys for a discount price, so they too can sell it at a discount price. So I'm sure maybe that stuff hasn't changed too much and evolved that much in the past 30, 40 years.
So,
it's kind of curious how this all broke down the way that it did. And obviously I would assume, I haven't done any eBay searches for Scareglow lately, but I would assume if you were to find one mint on card with a glow in the dark sight, that's got to be way more than just the green.
I mean, that whole wave, I don't think there's a character in that last wave that doesn't go for several hundreds of dollars at least. Like Clan Champ is probably like $300-400. King Randor's more. Buzzsaw Hordak maybe a little bit less because he's not as in high demand. But like Squeeze, Ninja, or Scareglow, I mean, they all go for top dollar. Scareglow and Ninja by far, I think, are the most sought, and then Mosquitor, I think, are the most sought after three. But here Bruce Timm and his amazing, card art there. I mean, a great pose, makes it look very threatening, menacing. The skull looks very, very demonic and evil, and that glow channeling from his body, like it's. Bruce Timm, I don't think he's like Paul Dini where he just likes to pretend like he never worked on the line, but damn, he did an amazing job working on Master of the Universe. And if I ever had the opportunity to talk to him, I would much rather probably talk, because I'm like, he's probably been asked a million times about Batman, and with good reason. I would much rather talk to him about his work on He-Man. And it probably would be like, kid, I don't remember. And I'm like, great. This is why you don't meet people you admire and appreciate.
Check out that KB sticker though, $6.49.
Which is probably what I paid for my faker when I got him. Is KB always? Which as a kid you didn't realize that the toy store prices were a little bit higher than your Hills and your Kmart's back then.
Right. Of course, you mentioned earlier the Search for Keldor mini comic included.
Yeah.
With Scareglow. Here's the art again.
Yeah. Just stunning work. Why this artwork is not marketed with apparel? Which I pushed for that a while back, and they just continue to have people who just don't know how to illustrate and color Filmation properly, and that's all we get. We don't get artwork like this or any of Bruce Timm's classic or the Earl McCarthy or the William George on T-shirts. It's just shitty Filmation, like an insult to Filmation.
Right.
This card art I find to be a bit underwhelming.
It is. I think it honestly kind of has more to do with Snout Spout for me than anything else.
Well, it's that, and plus the cave is sunlight outside, so it's less threatening.
Yeah.
And the pose of Snout Spout comes off as more like a Scooby Doo. Like
maybe they were thinking too. Behind this is maybe, in order for your action figure to glow in the dark, you have to have it in the light. So maybe that's what they were going for, to kind of to tell kids this is how you get the most effect from Scareglow as a figure.
That's a good possibility, but I would rework both their poses. Like Scareglow's pose is very, like, I know he's jumping at Snout Spout, and Snout Spout's like, heavens to Murgatroyd. But they're Snout Spout is not kind of like shocked. It's more like he's, scared too much. Like his eyes look, I know clearly that's what they were going for, but I would much rather it be more like he is shocked, as opposed to like he's throwing his hands up in the air like he just saw a mouse on the ground,
But he's frozen with fright.
And that's fine. But in the Scareglow's pose, he should be more threatening. I don't like the kind of leaping at you kind of thing. It's just I would much rather got that.
He's kind of got that Darth Maul fan film vibe going on.
Yeah, like
of course, you get the instructions: place Scareglow under a bright light. His skeleton glows in the dark. Remove his cloak. Comes with Scythe of Doom. Actually, this image is I like
that a lot. Yeah,
and
which we use on our power rankings episode a while back.
Yeah. And then, of course, the additional characters on the back. So we have Flying Fist, He-Man, King Randor, the Sorceress, Extendar, Rio Blast, Clamp Champ getting some love, Terraclaw, Skeletor, Scareglow, Ninjor, Faker, and then we get King Hiss and Rattler from.
And these card backs often varied a lot too, and it's interesting to see that Terraclaws and Flying Fist, which were variants from the previous year, are featured on this card, along with Rio Blast and Extendar, and the Snake Man from the previous year. And I mean, but it makes sense because I guess based on when this figure initially was released, a lot of the 86 wave probably was made available still, on the pegs. You probably get a lot of them up to that point before they're discontinued.
Yeah. I'm kind of, did they ever, I don't think they did, but I'll ask you for confirmation. Of course, we always know the proof of purchase, the UPC on a lot of action figure lines at the time. You could cut these out, save them up. Mattel never did this with Master Universe, correct?
I wanted, if you, like, they had the King Randor giveaway, like you had to send away for him. And I'm trying to remember, and the commercial's on YouTube. It's like when they're introducing the Evil Horde for the 86 wave, with any 3 proofs of Master of the Universe figures. So I think if you cut out 3 of those, I think, and I could be quite wrong on this, and I'm not ashamed to admit it if I am, but I know with that giveaway you had to have proof of. I think you can get King Randor if you. I'm trying to remember the commercial. It's like the tail end of that, and they advertise that. I think you did have to have.
We'll look for it at the end of the show when we're taking questions and stuff, and bring that up. It just got me thinking because I saw proof of purchase, and G.I. Joe was really great.
They were all about that.
Yeah, they were all about and multiple figures. You could choose as long as you set in the amount of points that you needed. You could pick.
Got to get that Sergeant Slaughter. Got to get that Fridge, that William Perry figure. Or the Steel Brigade. Which was I didn't know how to do any of that stuff when I was a kid because some of those giveaways were still part of the figures that were still on the line, and I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. I just wish I could have gotten a William Perry or a Steel Brigade as a kid.
Here we have the black and white version, which I think this looks better.
It does. It does.
It always seems to. Every time we do these character spotlights, and I look at the black and white version of the card back art.
But it's colored right. Like all the colors are correct. It's just I still would I would change Snout Spout's eye. Well, I changed his position altogether too. And I would give Scareglow a much more threatening pose because it's like a lot of the cards, man. The villains were depicted in very threatening manners, and the heroes were depicted in very heroic manners. But with a character that is bent on fear and scare, like that right there, I would use that as the pose where he's attacking Snout Spout. Yeah. I mean that looks like a more like I'm going to get you, and that's with the hands up like this, that's more threatening than what we got on the card art.
Of course, here we go. Search for Keldor. Here's some bits from that mini comic. And I am Skeletor, and I shall teach you the meaning of fear. I am the master here. Yes, master. trying to remember, when did I would have to look and see when we talked about this mini comic.
I know, I feel like it's been covered multiple times, but maybe you and I are due for a remake of this particular one, because I feel like, it was brought up in multiple discussions, like top mini comics, like when we do a Ninja discussion or we've done a Clamp Champ discussion. So it's been brought to the forefront, multiple times, but to actually like break it down, this particular mini comic, I feel like it's been a decent while. And Bruce Timm's artwork is damn near unmatched next to Larry Houston, and his depiction of Scareglow here, like the panels down here, that right there, that first one on the left, of just the profile, like that could not look more menacing. Like, I feel like when you look at Scareglow, that's the image that should always come to mind, because he just looks very frightening, very threatening, serious. Don't fuck with this guy. He's legit. He's a legit heel, so to speak.
This is the next shot here. This is from Adventure Magazine number 9. So as always,
is he like around a Rubik's Cube there?
Yeah, I've created a new warrior in my image. So it goes back to what was stated before. Skeletor's creating this in his image. This isn't like a future dead Skeletor or anything. It's just something that Skeletor's conjured up. And as interesting color choice here for Triclops. You got the purple and gold, the LA Lakers Triclops.
Yeah, I'm like, gold would look cool, but purple, no. And how is it that Beastman and Merman are colored correctly? Skeletor's colored correctly. His Havoc Staff's not, but Triclops gets the LA Lakers color scheme. I don't get that at all.
Yeah,
and Scareglow is given, a different color scheme too, like a red cape. It's more, and then of course Ninja is like, what the hell happened here?
Yeah,
makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, odd choice for Scareglow, red cape, and he's just almost just
translucent. He doesn't look as threatening. Like the more focused on the white, like coloring everything with the glow emitting from his body and the red cape, it kind of makes it look like a fallen hero. Like
kind of, yeah.
He's not, doesn't look evil at all.
Here we have the appearance in Star Comics. So this would be, let me scroll down to give you the particular. So this is from issue 7 of Star Comics,
which was an issue I sought after for years when I read the description on He-Man.org back in the day, because I was like, oh my god, all these guys are in the same book. Like this is got to be amazing. And it's kind of a, it's not a great story, but it's interesting to see Faker, depicted with blue armor, because he's depicted with hot pink. You get orange, and then here he gets Skeletor's like color, or kind of a, not Skeletor's full color, but it's like a lighter version of the Skeletor, like the toy version. Like it's like, it's, even though it's very like dark, it's like almost like I guess violet. This is, I mean, it's more bluish, but I guess you could say it's like a hell. I'm not even going to try and make that point. But just kind of interesting depictions of the characters here, and Scareglow can fly, which I don't mind that idea.
I don't mind it either.
Because Skeletor has nobody that can fly. There's nobody that in the Evil Warriors ranks that can fly, which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
And there's nobody in the Evil Horde, or in, of course, the Snake Man that can't. There are no flying villains unless they're in a vehicle of some kind. So
it's kind of interesting to see Scareglow's paired up in multiple iterations with Ninja.
And I kind of like that as a kid, or when I was much younger and saw them together, and I naturally just kind of put them together, even though there's not really any logic behind it. But you know what? I mean, I feel like a lot of times when you pair up a lot of these new characters and kind of make them a bit of a tag team, sometimes it just kind of works. And because they look nothing, they don't look like they would ever team up. Like there's no kind of like Triclops and Trapjaw makes sense. Webstor and Cobra Khan, Jitsu and Clawful. Like there's a bit of a similarity between, even though they might look visually completely different, their gimmick and their character seems a bit similar. Scareglow and Ninja. But then I guess you work in like the fear aspect. Like they both sneak up on their prey. Like whoever they're after, Scareglow wants to the surprise of fear on someone. Ninja wants to attack because he's a ninja. He's a silent assassin. So you break it down that way, it does kind of make sense a little bit.
Yeah, here is the Greek advertisement where he's actually named a Skeletor, and the translation under the name roughly translates to "scarier at night."
Yeah, which
So,
it's not surprising that something like this just got lost in translation in the foreign markets and like, oh, it's Scareglow. Skeletor, he glows in the dark. Great.
yeah. Of course, here's Scareglow's appearances and some of the posters
and depicted right next to Ninjor.
Box arts.
Yeah, the poster in there, two of the posters that William George did at the end of the line, which were amazing looking posters, and this was that features a lot more of the 86 wave of characters, and then this one's more about the 87 wave because you got the movie characters, the dinosaurs, and everybody that was featured in that last wave. And then this was I can never remember the name of this guy because it's like he does a lot of odd, some of it's like tracing from other stuff. It just kind of puts this kind of random mishmash of stuff, but they're not bad.
Esteban Maroto.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, I always thought it was kind of weird to see Ninjor without his face covered up, like you see an actual like more of the face there, and he has no mustache though.
Yeah, and then here's some catalog shots.
Spector.
Yeah, so
which that's something along those names would be like Spector. But Scareglow
works better.
Yeah, it's a badass name. I like the little white pine tree. I was always fascinated by the catalogs because they always use what looks like such an authentic landscape for the characters to be featured in.
Yeah, and it always that in conjunction with the commercials would always. You got to go outside and play with these action figures.
And that's I used to just wish I could have battlegrounds that look like that, as opposed to taking my mom's comforter on her bed and just mashing it up like this and whatever. It's a mountain, it's a rocky terrain, or it's
But it was safer to do that because I would see that
get
stuff.
Dirt on my figures.
Same. I'm like I'm not gonna mess up my action.
No, I went outside and played on the porch, but they never touched the dirt, the grass. Nope. The porch was as far as they went. I never took my toys into the shitty sandbox that we had out back, in the dirt, or I never left them outside in the rain.
That's funny. That you and I were the same with our collecting habits. Like oftentimes too, and we've mentioned this before. Even as kids, you and I would just set our action figures up on a shelf and just sit and just like admire them, not even play with them half the time.
I mean, I remember I think come 5th grade when I was determined I really wanted to collect, like finish collecting Master of the Universe. I remember setting up in a plastic tub, like a bin, like trying to like put up a diorama of the attack on Castle Grayskull from Diamond Ray Disappearance, only with the figures that I had.
Yeah.
And just would sit there and like, I have such great intention, but this doesn't look good at all. I was just like, it's like in a turquoise plastic bin, and the poses are sterile, and this is just, that was my first attempt of like wanting to sit and just look at a display and like, this sucks, man. This is just not good at all.
You just
and I will say, I really got inspired heavily though when Toy Fair Magazine announced that they're doing the commemorative line. And I saved the article about it, and I was telling my dad because we were in Roanoke when we went to Star City Comics, and I was like, Dad, I would love to do this with my figures. Well, they have stuff like that at Walmart and Michaels. And we went to Walmart right after that and back home, and I found this rollout of landscape of like greenery. And that's what I spent that evening pulling the figures off the shelf and laying out this greenery around Castle Grayskull and setting the figures up on this because I really wanted to reenact that beautiful photography of the He-Man figures with this greenery landscape around Grayskull. And I had it for a while, probably not too long before I met you. And it may have been on the shelf when you and I met, when I thought you were going to make fun of my collection.
I think it probably was. I seem to remember you having something that it was different than just sitting on the shelf.
You had to look at it close. It didn't pop because I had so many figures on the shelf covered. Right. But that's what I wanted to go for.
Yeah. You definitely did.
Yeah.
That was on the display when I first met you, and you were scared shitless that I was gonna.
I'm going to come to Go to School on Monday. He's like, hey, everybody, he collects toys. What a wiener.
Motherfucker likes Britons.
Yeah, it's like, and here we are today.
Yeah, here we are doing a show about it all. Here's some more. catalog, which interesting. I mean, look at Mosquito over here.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
very very different, like just shading on the head and on the belt buckle, and everything else is, excuse me, is just, I mean, just kind of flat. And I mean, like the black is illustrated on Scareglow, but then Ninjor, it makes more sense for Sorceress. I feel like that just white, but just where they just color in his upper body, like the cover up with the dragon symbol on there, and then the rest of it's white. I guess it just kind of, like, why not just leave them all white?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it makes it look like he's wearing that, and then he's just got like some tights on, like some underoos, and that's it.
Yeah, very non-threatening of a ninja warrior. And then King Randor looks fine. The only thing that's colored is his beard.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, so it's I would need to see like exactly where this came from, because it says TV and then just has that new logo from the card art. So check this out, man. So Scareglow, Faker, Ninjor, Sorceress, Squeeze, King Randor, Clamp, Jamp, Mosquito, now till November 15th, only $4.44 each. Could you imagine?
God, that'd have been the time too. If you're wanting, still crazy about He-Man before Christmas time, parents going out to wherever this was at, whether it's a Best, a Hills, or a Kmart, or a Target, or Walmart, and just just piling in every character in that way for your kid for Christmas of '87. Which is kind of weird that, when the figures I got for '87 were all older figures. It was none of the new wave. It was from '84, '85. Were the waves of figures that I got for Christmas '87. None of the, I never saw any of them out then. Like, and going out to Hills in '88, it was figures from '85 and '86.
So with inflation, I just calculated this up real quick. I just put in like 87 as the year for this. $4.44 today would be $12.94. So like $13 is the equivalent now, I guess.
Man, just think that back then, $4.44, like, and I would love to ask, I'd love to ask my mom too. Like, back then when an action figure was like $5, did you look at that as like it's a premium item that you can get on a special occasion, or it's reserved for birthdays and stuff like that? Or you're like, you know what, you have your $5, you can get a figure.
Yeah.
Like, was it seen as like a big deal in terms of like, I'm giving my 5-year-old son $5 to get him stuff, an action figure at Hills? Like, is that, a big deal, or is it just kind of like, no, it's $5?
Yeah. I'm kind of curious about that. Dad, if you're watching, send me a text and let me know how you felt about it back then. Was $5 like, oh boy, this is really breaking the bank this go around? Because I guess it's weird to look at it that way. Yeah, $5 was more back then, obviously. Yeah. So
whereas, I mean, now to get an action figure for $5 would be absolutely unheard of.
Yeah.
And it kind of stayed in the $5 range for, because I think about Marvel Legends were like $7-8. Once we started getting to collecting those. Movie Maniacs, I think were around the $10 to $12 range. What you think back then? Adult collectibles at $10 to $12.
And they came with a comic book.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's insane. Anyway, here we have Emiliano's beautiful artwork from the Power of Fear comic that Val and Emiliano got in trouble with Mattel, because they were using a character that was not permitted to be used. You had to use only what was, being used in NYP at the time. And I remember this was advertised in advance that Scareglow was going to show up in this. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then it was delayed. And then come to find out that Mattel said, you can't do this. And then they kind of just snuck it through for, I don't know how they managed to do it, but they pissed off Mattel, from what I remember, for doing this. And I remember the day it was supposed to come out, I went to the Beholder's Eye and told him, like, don't you guys have the Power of Fear comic? He's like, what is that? It's like, well, it was supposed to come out today. He goes, where did you hear that? On the internet. He laughs at me. He goes, oh, you got it on the internet, huh? I'm thinking, like, dude, I'm not a moron, man. Like, it was supposed to come out today. And it was Friedel who laughed at me.
Yeah.
Which I felt really insulted at the time. But it would come out. I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. It was just so cool to see Scareglow depicted in comic book form beautifully. And it was just disheartening to know that Mattel was, slapping them on the hands for, like, you can't do that. You can't do anything cool.
Yeah,
do what we tell you to do.
I don't understand the logic in that.
I don't either. Especially, and it was just mainly because they wanted to focus on what was in NYP at that moment. You could not even they managed to slip by the image of the second storyline that were wrapped up with that splash page of the evil horde in shadow.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't supposed to do that, but it managed to slip in because no one's name checked or anything like that, and everyone's in shadow. But it's Shadow Weaver, it's Montana, it's Grizzlor, it's Hordak. They're all there.
Yeah.
They're in shadow. But that's Mattel for you. It's like you only can use what's available right now in NYP. Who we have in the current family. You can't do none of this cowboy bullshit.
That's dumb.
But it is. It's very dumb, and they continue to make dumbass decisions today.
Right, but
it's continue to keep pissing off people who work there or work on the line or whatever the case may be. And I don't give a fuck.
But it's awesome to see Scareglow pop in.
Damn right. Emiliano did a fantastic job with making a design that lined up with the Four Horsemen's initial designs of all these characters, because he was not planned for the line at all. And I think Emiliano did a beautiful job of redesigning the character. That when he glows, you see the skeleton, but when he's not, he's just this solid black-skinned skeletal being.
Yeah.
With the big cape. And I remember using it as inspiration for a Four Horsemen. I had, not Four Horsemen, for the Headless Horseman. I did it in a project in college at the time. So I used Spawn and Emiliano Scareglow to kind of come up with my own version of the Headless Horseman. I got an A on it. And I put Emiliano's name in one of the gravestones because I wanted to give him credit, and Todd McFarlane.
Do you still have that?
No, I have. Yeah. And and it looked good. I thought it did a really good job on it, but I did pull inspiration from the cowl and the shoulder pads and then Spawn's cape, and then did like the upper body kind of a mishmash on it from the torso up with a graveyard with various people. I think I put Jim Lee on a gravestone, Emiliano, Tom McFarlane, I think somebody else, and no one knew what it was or anything like that. But the teacher was impressed by it and everything like that too. So
I wish you still had it. That would be awesome to see today.
Me too. Yeah, it was pretty cool, I thought.
Here is the classics version of Scareglow. I love this figure. As I've stated, every time we do these and we get to the classics portion of the show, I have to once again say the classics line is my personal favorite of all the toy lines.
It's pretty much impossible to beat. I don't give a shit what comes afterwards. Maybe you like Mondo, maybe you like Masterverse, maybe you like Origins, but I'm sorry, your opinion won't hold up in the court of law against this line. It will not.
Cursed in Life, Frightening in Death. Here's a little magazine advertisement for the classics figure.
I will only give Scott credit because he said he pushed to have Scareglow brought up in the line earlier because he didn't want it to just be like the basics that you would expect. Like he wanted to mix it up. So I will give him credit for that, and that be the only thing I will ever give him credit on.
Well, let's go ahead.
This cesspool of shit.
Yeah, here is the classics bio for Scareglow. His real name, Karak Knoll.
Yeah, just...
In life, Knoll was a shifty bounty hunter who spent years attempting to break into Castle Grayskull. Obsessed with legends that would then lay the power to become master of the universe. In death, he was cursed and banished into the dimension of Infinita. Forever chained to his past crimes, he was brought back to Eternia by a magical spell of light cast by Skeletor to locate the most evil warriors in the 5 dimensions. Provided with a Scythe of Doom, Knoll agreed to join forces with Skeletor and quickly became known as Scareglow due to his ability to burst forth and freeze his enemy with fright.
Crack Knoll. And the idea, like, I know a lot of people like the concept of him carrying around this scepter of Grayskull with a key in it, but it's like,
show that right there.
I mean, that's what it was. You unscrewed it, and the key to Grayskull goes in, which is like, why would you give the guy that really wanted to get in there? And it's an accessory, but if you're painting this picture of this tragic character, besides a bounty hunter wouldn't be trying to do that. A bounty hunter is hired to do jobs. There's no logic in that. It's just like like everyone else. A bounty hunter sounds cool. Make him a bounty hunter. But a bounty hunter only operates to the highest bidder. He doesn't go out and do his own thing. Yeah. That doesn't make him a bounty hunter at all, dumbass.
All right. Well, Knoll. There he is.
Yeah. But the 4 Horsemen, saints in their own right, they delivered the goods on this, man. And Scareglow looks a lot more whiter, with the black, And you still get the nice glow in the dark pop and the red eyes.
And then the scythe, nice little touch. It's
Yeah.
like a combo here, so we get a little bit of the glow in the dark on the blade, and the rest of it's green. So
yeah, looks amazing.
Yeah, really does.
Just beautiful work.
I wish I could remember how much I paid for the Classics figure when I got him. It was not cheap. I remember that.
I can believe it, dude.
Here is the soft vinyl from Mondo. This is based off of the vintage look. So this guy is like pretty tall. I think he's like 10, 12 inches or so. So we have him. Mondo actually put out a couple. Here's the first version of him that came out.
I don't like that at all. That looks too clunky.
Yeah. And once again, keeping up with what Classics did.
Yeah.
And here's the version that came out later.
That looks a lot better. That looks the face sculpt looks quite menacing there. Give up with the stupid scepter and the chain and the key. Like this, just stop it.
I actually managed to snag one of these. It's currently packed away, sitting in the closet back here. Because I didn't have any space for all these Mondos, but I
feel like that's something you really gonna have to designate space to. I mean, if you're gonna collect it, it just can't be.
But also I think I've mentioned this before. I'm kind of at a point where I might sell some of these. I may keep Scareglow, but I might sell the rest. I don't know yet, so we'll see.
If you're looking to sell Scareglow, I might take you up on that.
And here's the Masterverse version of Scareglow.
I swear to God, they make everything ugly as hell. There's nothing they have done right in that line.
Of course, the scythe's just laying on its side, so this isn't just they didn't change this isn't just like some sort of spear or something. It actually is a scythe. It's just
terrible. God, it looks bad.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what kind of spawned them to want to go and try this sort of look with the black instead of just how we're used to seeing it in vintage form.
I don't know.
And here's the Origins version.
Which it's not horrible by any means because that looks more proportioned as opposed to some of the other dumbass ideas they've done.
Yeah, I own this one because
I remember you telling me that you bought that one because you wanted a Scareglow that would be affordable and that would fit alongside the vintage line, and I don't fault you at all for doing that.
Yeah, so this was the way to go about that. And of course, this is the Scareglow's appearance in the Netflix's Master Universe Revelation, which, if I had to give any positives, I think Tony Todd's portrayal of Scareglow and the little bit that you see in there was okay for what it was.
The voice is fine, but there's no point to his point in the story.
Yeah,
it's just like strictly Ted Biaselli and Rob David. They're just like, we got to work him in there. Just work him in there because it's fan service. They're just going to ignore that we're ignoring He-Man and Skeletor, making it a Tila and Evil-Lyn store because we don't give a shit. We're agenda based, and just throw them in there. It'd be great. People will be like they'll be all over themselves. They'll be squirting all over themselves. And it's Scareglow. It's Candyman playing it. Like they'll completely ignore what we're doing to this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people did. It's just like, oh my God, it's Scareglow. Like, yeah, it's Scareglow, but there's no logic. He just shows up and talks to Tila, and it's uneventful. Who cares?
Yeah.
Much like with everything else they did. But thankfully, it came and went like a fart in the wind. No one cares what those assholes did, and yet they're still in charge.
Yeah, but I wanted to show
I
Scareglow,
get it, and it is an iteration of the character.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people who watched it, that's probably the one thing that they can sit there and say they were just all over themselves is that Scareglow shows up, and he's depicted in a threatening manner, even though he's just talking to Tila and she's all butch and bitchy and whatever. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Rob.
So we have that.
Will be forever celebrated in my heart.
Ryan was saying there were 3 Mondo Scareglows that I was missing one. So I will look and see what the other one was that I may have been missing, unless we're taking into account those 2 and then the one soft vinyl that was made. They had some variants of that stockier Scareglow that looks like the vintage figure. They had a couple variants of that, but there is also 2. Let me go ahead and pull this up that Mondo was doing. Here we go. So they're going to do Scaremare a steed for Scareglow. So there that is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. How do you feel about Scareglow having a steed?
Doesn't need a steed. He doesn't. Does it look bad? No, but he doesn't need it. It's just, I feel like they're just trying to repurpose the idea of a steed because it's a easy to just repeat, which I'm thinking, well, that's what they did in the original line. Like, they did it to save money. They weren't doing it because, they thought it was a great idea. They just repurposed it because it was a way of saving money. But God, everyone doesn't need a steed.
Here is the third version. So there you go. This was another one that they put in.
No, that looks like shit.
Yeah, I kind of don't understand the vibe.
That looks terrible.
To this one, but it does come with
a human head.
You can switch the heads here. They got
Well, that's not gonna look any better on there because that vintage head doesn't fit the rest of the body.
Yeah, it looks like mummified or something.
Yes, it's just stupid.
Yeah. Okay.
Cape looks fine, but no, it just like chains and stuff all over him. Like, it's not the Ghost of Christmas Future or Jacob Marley.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like going a little too far with some of the things that you don't need. I don't know. Again, you got people just making these ideas. Let's go extreme with it, man. And it's just like, no, just stop. Go home.
Let me turn off real quick. Switch my audio so this will play a little bit better. This is the German commercial that has Scareglow, Gwildor, and Ninjor and scuba attack stuff in it. So let's give this a watch.
Masters of the Universe. Gwildor führt Zauberin Sorceress zum Versteck des kosmischen Schlüssels. Vorsicht, Dämonen! Scareglow und Ninjor, aber Ninjor flieht auf Scuba-Attack. Und das führt Scareglow im Schilde immer neue Abenteuer. Auch als Comic am Kiosk. Das sind eure Masters.
I like that panning shot with.
I do too. It was cool. Seeing Ninjor using the scuba attack, which you wouldn't want to use that without taking off pretty much everything that he comes with without getting that cloth all soaked.
Yeah.
But it's cool seeing the ninja assassin using sneaky scuba attack, But the German commercials always had cool backgrounds and layouts, for the figures to be depicted in.
Yeah. So with such a fantastic gimmick and everything, Scareglow overall not used a lot in anything really, aside from getting some figures released. In terms of just the mythology and story wise, there's not much there for Scareglow.
No, very underdeveloped, much like a lot of that last wave was. I mean, Sorceress Hordak, Buster Hordak and King Randor needed nothing. Squeeze, I don't think really needed. I mean, he's another member of the Snake Men. Mosquito, a creation by Hordak, but Scareglow and Ninjor were just kind of here they are. I summoned them, they're mine, and I kind of just over the years started to think like I find Scareglow as someone who would break away and become a villain in his own right and not be someone that would be one of Skeletor's regular henchmen as part of the Evil Warriors. I just see him as somebody that, a being that thrives on fear and not just, he's going to get you as a ghost, but I feel like someone who could conjure up scary things and someone who's very threatening and imposing and would use fear to benefit, his own needs. And I feel like, you brought me here, Skeletor, but I'm like, I don't have to serve you. And I see him, and like I came up with that idea of the Bride of Fear, where it is a story where he is the main antagonist of the story. He lives in a castle, far away from Snake Mountain, does his own thing, would like to, retaliate towards Skeletor someday. But I just see him as like he must, and not just how to like Trapjaw has his own lair and House Shakoti, but this guy, like, no, he no longer has any association with the Evil Warriors. Resides in this like very like spiral castle that looks very creepy, like he could easily fall over because it's so narrow, but it's creepy looking, surrounded by a haunted forest and a large murky body of water that you'd have to take a small boat or raft to get to, then get to the haunted forest to get to the castle, let alone what is inside the castle.
Yeah.
I was really inspired by the Wicked Witch of the West castle, like the interior of that and what surrounds her castle. I was like, that's what Scareglow really needs. he's so far away and far removed from everybody else that everything around him to get to him, you have to conquer the haunted forest. You have to go through this, like this. Think of like the River Styx and Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
You know, this very scary body of water, and you can't get there unless you're willing to, you know.
Yeah, I think having Scareglow and sort of that universal monster hammer horror kind of presentation would really accentuate the character. And I like the idea too that you have of just he's separate from everything else and everybody else, that there's not really an affiliation with him.
Yeah. That I mean, when I didn't finish it, I knew where I was going to go. I wrote like the first maybe 4 or 5 pages of it, like dialogue, everything.
Well, how about with that? Let's pair that up with when we do Search for Keldor down the road and kind of like redo that, but then also tell this original story idea that you had. Or it's something maybe we could like bank that and use it like next October or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I just I think it's a great idea too. Like I had this idea too of like and not to go into great detail, but the idea was that Prince Daikon, who is from Secret, if you read the mini comic Secret Liquid of Life, it ends with like they save his bride or his fiancee Marin, and they're eventually going to get married. This would be on the eve of the wedding, and Scareglow is infatuated with her and wants her for himself.
Okay,
and that's the story.
Yeah,
and
so it kind of plays into some elements that you would get sometimes in the Universal horror.
And I was definitely inspired, and Nathan, once Nathan hears what this, I was definitely inspired by the beginning of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
For this, like to kind of get the story going. I really wanted to, like, if Scareglow is going to be someone who embodies fear, he needs to be shown as like someone who scares the shit out of people about how he approaches them, how he draws them out, and like the opening of this, and when we get, I'm not gonna say, I'm gonna save it, but just the idea, picture this: he's in this creepy looking castle, sitting in his throne like this, looking at a crystal ball and just watching Marin, and just is like fixated on how she looks, and just like, she'll be mine, and it just gets up and just kind of contemplates to himself, how he's going to get her. That this I don't know. I like I said, I have very distinct dialogue of how he is viewing what he's going to be doing. And I went back and reread it again for tonight. I'm like, God, that's a pretty damn good opening, for a Scareglow story where there's no Skeletor, there's no Hordak, there's no King Is. It's the heroic warriors versus Scareglow. And that is it. And I'd love to get Kevin Sharp to do a mini comic cover for what I have in mind, which I know I shared like a while back.
Well, I mean, that's something we'll definitely do down the road. Maybe after, if you've gotten Kevin to commission that for you, maybe we tie that into your story.
I got so many ideas I want him to do. I was like, it's having the money to do it, and then having him the time to do it. So other commissions too. Like I just wish I had enough money to say, you stay home and draw when I want you to.
There you go.
Here's the money. Take all the money you want there. Just stay home and draw He-Man, draw Marvel Comics, draw this and draw that, draw Thundercats. You're
gonna have to start just playing the lottery and hope that you win.
Oh God, yeah, because that would be something. I even told him the other day, because he likes to update me on how bad the new movie's going to be, and I'm like, oh God, and I just like I said, dude. There's no one qualified to make a live action movie that we could compare to a comic book that you and I could do. You draw it and I do the story. It would bury anything that anyone in Hollywood could ever contemplate coming. Just one comic book, let alone telling the story of whatever it may be, from the origin of He-Man to Skeletor coming to eternity, to the coming of the Horde, whatever the case may be. Is it egotist for me to say that? Absolutely. But I firmly believe it.
No, I think... and not to blow smoke, but just over the years and the stories that you've told, and especially recently, the stories that we've been doing with your original ideas, track record's proven itself, in my opinion. Once again, we talked about this last week, and we'll kind of touch back.
And
a little
Nathan,
more.
let me give people. Nathan did a phenomenal job with adding ideas to our story last week, and of our creative story, like creative mini comic. Like Nathan did a really good job of creating imagery and sharing ideas too. And I really want to thank him for helping, like paint the visual for the mini comic covers, an homage to the Grizzly movie poster.
Yeah.
And throwing out little spices of ideas throughout the story there too. Like, because Nathan cares. Like, is Nathan the biggest fan of Master Universe? No, he's not. He'd be the first to tell you he's not.
Yep.
But he still cares. He's taking time every week to put together the best quality looking Master Universe podcast that's on the internet, and shows he cares. And he cares about these stories. And I appreciate that. And I hope everyone out there listening to our episodes appreciate everything he brings, not just the visual stuff, but his ideas and suggestions and thoughts.
Well,
he's an unsung hero and he deserves his flowers every single week.
I appreciate that. I'm not that good at taking compliments, but Scareglow, do we have any closing words on?
He deserves the fandom he gets. Sometimes I feel like it's a little bit like, do you guys really know anything about the character or think anything, or are you just like, oh, he glows in the dark and he's awesome, that's it? And you know what? Maybe that's all it is, because people say, well, I don't know anything about him. Well, granted, there wasn't a whole lot done about the character, but he ever really stopped to think about what this character's place is in the mythology? Probably not.
Yeah.
But definitely one of the many characters that is just so much potential, much like damn near everybody in this line. There's not a weak link in this chain of characters from the very beginning, from the first wave to this wave of 87, even further on to New Adventures. I don't care what you say about New Adventures. There's still potential with all these characters. Every single character could bring a level of badass that has yet to be tapped into.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to have the right people to, kind of guide that, and don't treat them like, well, this character's kind of lame, so let's kind of write him as the comic relief of the story. No, asshole. Make him just as strong, not just as strong as him, but his place in the mythology should be just as strong as Man-at-Arms and Attila and the Sorceress and the Skeletor and a Beastman. Like, no, they don't need to be center stage, but you know what? They're a valid component to this mythology. It's nice to see that the villains and the heroes are constantly expanding, and it's not just repaints and variants. Like, we didn't get like a third version of Mechanet come 87. We're getting brand new characters.
Yeah.
They're just the repaints. The variants we only got were the core 3 characters, and that's it.
Hmm.
Tila came out in the first wave, and unless she's just reissued, that's it. There's no variants of Tila. And God bless Mattel back then for doing that.
Yeah.
New characters. They're reusing use same parts, but they come up with new characters, expand it. Like, that's what made the Vengeance line so special, is that it was not about we're going to repurpose the same shit like they do today, with like they've been doing since the 90s. Repackage, repurpose, recolor, variant. Just no new stuff. This line deserves new stuff.
As you said, Scareglow, untapped potential, much like all of those later wave figures. There's so many of those figures, those characters. There's so many of them that didn't. You never saw them in anything.
No.
So there's so much more that you could do with that. But the glow in the dark gimmick, Tyler, off the top of your head, is there anything that comes to mind of just gimmicks, like that gimmick in particular? Any toys that really stick out to you from childhood and beyond?
I feel like I had so few things that did glow in the dark.
Obviously, Ectoglow Ghostbusters,
which I didn't have. I was never even aware of those when they came out.
But even then, some of the other stuff in the line, like the little ghost that came with figures, glue in the dark. So I have a good chunk of those. So when I shut the lights off in here, you'll see them kind of like pop up and glow a little bit.
I guess what comes to mind is like Swamp Thing from the Kenner line, the glow in the dark Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Which my brother had that one. I had the snare arm, which was like the more definitive look of Swamp Thing. So, but the glow in the dark one looked really cool. I'm trying to think of some of the other things that I may have had. Oh, I think of like the little the smog monsters from the Captain Crunch cereal from like the late 80s.
Yeah,
they glow in the dark. I know there was a ton of stuff that did, but I thought glow in the dark was cool, but it was never like something I heavily sought after, unless it was a figure I really wanted and they happened to glow in the dark.
Right.
It was a cool gimmick, but it was not something that made me feel like I have to buy this toy because it does glow in the dark.
Do you remember the glow worms from Hasbro?
Oh yeah, my brother had one of those. Yeah.
Because I just started looking up that stuff. I was like, yeah, I remember the glowworms, and obviously too back in the day, Remco did a lot of glow in the darks with like the Universal monsters.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
it,
And I remember seeing pictures of those.
it seemed like the glow in the dark stuff I felt was a little more prevalent sort of in the 70s and into the 80s. Like obviously we got it in the 90s and like the late 80s, but I feel like the 70s is when
I
really
guess
took
back
off.
then too, because action figures were pretty simplistic, you know. So something that is as grandiose as glow in the dark would have been a bigger deal. And I guess I think about too, like I think some of the supernatural figures, so that Tonka put, I think those were glow in the dark. I know they were holograms, but I think some of them, maybe I'm wrong, had some glow in the dark aspects to them, which was a line I never had a single figure of, but I remember seeing other kids in daycare and seeing the stores, and of course they were expensive because they were holograms, much like the Visionaries. Couldn't afford them because they had the holograms on their chest, and gimmicks like that. Yeah, they were cool, very cool, but a lot of times they just were not. Now I'm determined to figure if the Supernatural line had anything glow in the dark outside of
Here's one I remember.
Oh man, my brother had Duke Nukem.
Yeah. So I had this figure because when I bought that big lot of stuff that I spent like $800 on just to get the Silverhawks. Yeah. There's like all kinds of other shit in there too. And I got most of the Captain Planet stuff, and Duke Nukem was in there.
That was one of the coolest figures of that line. Because I remember I got Vermin the Scum because I thought he was such a great visual. But when we got home and my brother opened up Duke Nukem, like he was such a great looking figure. Like, yeah, he glowed in the dark, but I just thought like, I don't know, it's just something like he had a better pose, like a more villainous pose. Yeah, a great looking figure.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I should probably dig him out of the closet back there and put him on display. Yeah, I'm kind of looking for more stuff too. But yeah, glowworms, man. That always stuck out to me. I don't know why, but I think most of the time the glow in the dark stuff that I had, if it wasn't from the real Ghostbusters line, it was like little knick-knacky stuff that you would...
It tended to be like little small toys with glow in the dark or something like that. Like I don't think the Monster My Pocket line had glow in the dark, did they? Because they were like little solid colored rubber figures of like various monsters and things. Like, okay, Supernaturals definitely wasn't glow in the dark. It was just holograms. My mistake there, people. If anyone gives a damn about Supernaturals.
It looks like a couple of Monster in My Pocket had a couple of them had some glow in the dark gimmicks to them, but I think
some of them did.
I think there may have been a couple that did, but for the most part, I think it's just the neon coloring of them that really stood out. Yeah, there's a couple of them that glow in the dark. I don't know if it'll let me save. It won't let me save that image, WebMP files. But yeah, so glow in the dark's fun. What do you like better, the glow in the dark gimmick or like translucent plastic on an action figure? I kind of lean more towards translucent over glow in the dark.
I always kind of say probably translucent, because I feel like a lot of times the translucent appeals more to what the character is, whereas the glow in the dark is just a gimmick. Right. I think about what Super 7's doing. They're constantly doing glow in the darks of everything. Everything that has plastic, they're going to make a glow in the dark variation. You're going to pay $57 for it. For like Thundercats or whatever. It's like, God, people, like, who are still paying $60 for something that just glows in the dark that you've already bought before?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think about like lenticular, like stickers and then holograms. I think as a kid, if you'd give me the option of translucent, glow in the dark, lenticular, or hologram, I'd have been about the hologram.
The holograms were a lot of fun.
Yeah, is because getting a hologram in like a trading card set for like superheroes or sport cards was a big damn deal.
Yeah.
And to see it on an action figure, to have been able to own any of the Visionaries or any of the Supernaturals for that awesome hologram. That would kind of slightly move depending on the angle. Like I think with Visionaries, like looked like the beast on their chest was like going to leap out of their armor, and the Supernaturals like a skeleton or a demon, underneath it. And it's just like, yeah, the articulation sucks, but it's just like, oh my God, it's this awesome hologram,
Yeah. All the gimmicks back then.
Yeah.
The
Great time to be a
X-Wheels.
kid, man, because it was.
Well, because you gotta find your way to stand out on such a crowded aisle space.
And it is, and it makes me wonder too. Like, and I'm sure there were. I just never met any. But was there someone who was like, once Visionaries came out, this is what they like. Mom, Dad, I want Visionaries. I don't want anything else. Mom, Dad, Supernatural. I want nothing but that. Or the Rock Lords. I want nothing but Rock Lords. You know, like there was so much competition to pull away from He-Man, G.I. Joe, and Transformers and Thundercats, and then until Turtles comes out, you know, in '87, it's like, man, like you got Bionic 6, you got Brave Star, you got Black Star, which came out a little later after the cartoon, and you know, GoBots, and I mean the list goes on and on and on. Dungeons and Dragons, it just of so many ass kicking toys. You know, how it's amazing how any kid stuck to one toy line back then. And that's kind of how I was. Even He-Man was always number one, no matter what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing Rambo toys, Commando toys, Chuck Norris toys, and never ending runs of G.I. Joe action figures from Cobra and the Joes. And you've got, you know, the Bionic 6 showing up, Brave Star showing up. You got the Inhumanoids, you know, just so like, how do you decide, you know what, this is what I'm after?
Yeah.
Because you're going down the toy aisle. It doesn't matter if it's Hills, Walmart, Best, Toys R Us. Like, how do you decide, like, oh my God, new He-Man figures, but then they got Tendril from Inhumanoids. Oh my God, there's Jaga. They have Jaga. Like, oh my, the Bionic 6 headquarters. Like, Mom, can I have that for Christmas? I thought you wanted to turn it place. Oh my God, kill me now.
Yeah, that's why. And then you would go home, watch Nickelodeon, see those commercials of those kids doing that sweepstakes toy, like the toy run thing.
Yeah. Oh man, talk
just,
about envy.
Yeah, just grabbing
everything. Toys R Us, like, I must win this.
Yeah,
you know, and it kind of makes you wonder: did anyone do that? Like, was there actual winners of this stuff, or was it more like publicized, you know, bullshit for kids on TV to, you know, send in stuff, you know, like for Nickelodeon magazine, like much like how, like they said, when Hogan was apparently taken out of action by earthquake, they wanted kids to send postcards in so they could send kids the magazines to buy stuff. You know, it was almost like a bait and switch of like, Hulk Hogan needs your thoughts and prayers, so send them postcards, and all they're doing is sending you magazines in the mail. You know, I'm thinking like, is Nickelodeon like using the sweepstakes to like, you know,
I don't know. We'll watch a couple of those commercials here towards the end. Got me thinking glow in the dark, and I was like, Ninja Turtles. When did this gimmick happen?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, my brother had that one, and I had the Wolfman.
Yeah,
and I did think it was cool. I didn't request these; they were given to us as a Christmas present by our grandparents. I think in the year that they came out.
I think these are, if you're going to do turtle variants, these are obviously my favorite ones.
Me too. And I was happy to get the Wolfman Leo variant, and Derek really liked the Raph Mummy variant. And I did think they were cool because they were. It was a cool idea. I never sought out to get the rest of them because I still wasn't after turtle variants, but that was a variant I was very happy to get. And of all the very lame, sometimes intriguing, and sometimes just like, oh my God, like, you know, I think about getting Donatello as a cowboy with a candy cane cigarette and getting Leonardo as Desert Storm Leo. Just,
yeah.
You know, they were all birthday and Christmas presents. Like, and you're like, yeah, it's a new turtle toy. That's kind of about it.
I mean, you know, I got the troll variants of them. So,
yeah, thank God.
Pretty rough. I need to get that picture so I can show it off one day, because I've talked about it before. It was my dad's brother that got them for me, and the Open Car twins were there at my party, and I was like, yeah, they probably got me something Turtles. I don't know what it's going to be. And at that point, I think I was 9 or 10, and I was pushing more past Turtles and getting more like sports.
Yeah.
And everything. So we got that open up, and it's like the troll variants. I'm like holding up, smiling, and you just see them behind me like laughing. I'll try to find it. John in particular looked really goofy.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the birthdays that I had. Most of them I got toys when I was celebrating with other kids. I was fortunate to get action figures that I was proud to get, like getting
Mhm.
Ground Chuck and Dirtbag, for and the Turtles 3 soundtrack, because I didn't have any of the soundtracks, so I got the Turtles 3 soundtrack. I was so proud to have that, and we're getting my birthday, my 6th birthday, I think I remember getting like some of the Swamp Thing figures from Kenner and getting some of the WWF action figures from Hasbro at the time. And I was like, it was great, just nothing but awesome action figures, like stuff you were just not like, oh, Virginia Tech sweatsuit, oh great, which that was a gift that was given to me for my 6th birthday. Oh God,
yeah. Anytime you're getting clothes, is
unless it had Turtles or Batman on, I was like, people, come on, man. It's like, give this to my mom, don't give it to me.
Looking at, I was like, oh, I have to remember this. So let's go ahead. We'll look at take some comments, some questions. I'll read off some of the comments that we got on last week's video.
Oh yeah, much appreciated comments.
Papa Hoods. Wait, Optimus Prime armored He-Man is real? Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a shitty custom from some idiot. Well, it is an idiot. It is a shitty custom. It's being marketed by idiots. So.
Papa Hud's trivia for Nathan and Tyler. In episode 222 of Fans of Power, the two of you came up with joke original Master Universe characters. Tyler had 2 and Nathan had 1. What were their names?
I have a pretty steel trap memory, but I have no memory of doing that.
I have no memory of doing it
either. I to think that people remember those details or go back and watch old episodes and ask and stuff like that, I think it's wonderful.
The episode in question was Revenge of Skeletor mini comic review, great books, mystery commentary, and more. So that's
back when we were packing in like multiple subjects in one episode. Not a very good idea looking back at it.
That was we got 3 things that we're gonna talk about on the show.
No, it was very oversaturation. It's like, that's how you run out of good ideas at the time, and then you're like, oh God, what do we do?
Yeah, so Papa Huds, if you're still hanging around in there, give us the answer, so maybe it'll spark the memory of what all happened there.
Yeah, man, I might remember it more once we hear what those were.
Johnny Cock, Tyler and Nathan, I know you're not a fan of the crossover, but what would you do if you had to make a collab line of Master Universe action figures? Give me Wave 1 and Wave 2. Explain and have gimmicks. If we're going to cross over in any way, what would we do?
Well, I still would have put He-Man and Thundercats together, but make them the same scale, and put together mini comics that would encourage you to buy He-Man and Lion-O, or like the beginnings of the story. You're setting up these characters, and like I said, I've always championed the idea of how He-Man would cross over with Thundercats, but there would be no He-Man armor on Thundercats, no Thundercat armor on He-Man characters. You want them in the same scale. That way you can prop it on the shelf to pick He-Man and Lion-O side by side as allies, Skeletor and Mom-Ra as allies, seeing Beastman next to Monkian, seeing Vulture-Man next to Merman, or seeing Triclops next to Hachiman. Make them in scale and have mini comics that encourage you to get the next figure. Like if you want to see the next part, you got to buy Hachiman in He-Man scale. You want to get the next part, you're going to have to buy the new Beastman, but no gimmicks outside of what you're already accommodating to, if I had my way, outside of the important gimmicks with He-Man figures like Cyclone Spins, Roboto has the clear body with the gears and the multiple arm attachments, there would be no, swinging waist, no chop. I would want it to be a nicely articulated figure with gimmicks specific to that character, and emphasis on the story. Make the logic of He-Man crossing with Thundercats make sense. Not just an idiot slapping these shit together and saying, they're together for the first time ever. Like, no, they're not, asshole. It's just, there's no reason or logic to give He-Man Ninja Turtle armor, to give Lion-O, He-Man style accessories. The character he's already established. You don't need to have, give He-Man the claw shield and give Mom-Ra, Skeletor's Havoc Staff, or like his version of that, or some stupid shit like that. It's about the story. Make the story, make the crossover make sense. Give it purpose. Give it logic. That's the gimmick. It's telling the story. And you want to continue the story, you have to buy the other figures. But all of the figures look great. They're in the same scale. They represent the characters that are already established in the mythologies from the 80s. There's no like upgrades like, well, we're going to give Hachiman a more modern look here, people, and it's just like some silly shit. It was just like, you're not honoring this character at all. Like going full Masterverse for these characters, just like shitty upgrades, and I put that in quotes because it's not upgrade, it's downgrades from some idiot who doesn't know how to design action figures or anything that kicks ass. So that makes, and He-Man and Bravestar, that could work, but you don't need to have Bravestar give him, Eternian armor. You don't need to get He-Man a cowboy hat. The characters, that's the gimmick, that they're in the same scale and they will tell the story with cool card art, cool crossover, great packaging. But none of this, I don't know. Maybe it's not Rob David who's calling the shots on this dumbass. But you know what? He's the only person I know. But I know there's a whole circle of idiots working at Mattel putting all this shit together. And I don't know what's worse. The guys come up with the ideas, or the guys like, yeah, this sounds like a good idea. Throw that shit out at Walmart and Target. Charge a premium price for it too. These idiots are buying it.
Yeah,
I don't know who to blame.
I guess I was trying to sit here and think of anything if I wanted to take it in a sillier crossover route. What would I do of something that would make sense? But I can't really think of anything. So
and that's the thing. Not everything can cross over with He-Man. It's a sci-fi fantasy line. You can't just slap G.I. Joe with He-Man because I liked those lines when I was a kid and I want to see He-Man next to Snake Eyes. Whoop-de-fucking do. I mean, the whole point of one of these illustrations over here that I had Kevin Sharp do was to show a great idea that there are simulators. Like I have Froster versus Chilla, Panthro versus Ninjor, Roboto versus Two-Time, Snowman Hook Mountain versus Icer, Groon versus Ice Armor He-Man, Lion-O versus Terraclaw Skeletor, like the Claw Show versus the Terraclaw, in terms of variant. But there are so many similar characters in the mythology of He-Man Thundercats. You have crossovers all damn day. Hachiman versus Jitsu. Hammerhand versus Fisto.
Yeah.
Like, and people aren't thinking about that at all. They're just like, I'm a tree stump and I drool. It's just like, God, it ain't that hard, people, but damn it, man.
You look like Jim Cornette there for a second.
But I guess I do feel like I get worked up like him. And I don't want to sit there and say a lot of outlandish things that are just going to be rude and ugly, but...
Yeah, I could just bust into a Mattel board meeting and he's like, if assholes could fly, this place would be an airport, and then you just walk out.
Yeah. But then I'd leap on their meeting table and take a big shit on it and then walk out. Thank you. And it's I swear to God, people, like I know you people who've been listening to this podcast for a long time, from the early days to now, have heard me rant and rave like an insane lunatic over these things. But I'm telling you, people, it's not hard to do a crossover storyline or a good, clean cut, mean, lean, badass storyline involving He-Man and the Master of the Universe. It's not. It's all there. Unfortunately, people just don't take time to think about that. Hiring artists who know what the hell they're doing in terms of making these characters look good. Hiring a writer who can't write the difference between his asshole and a hole in the ground. They don't know how to do it because Mattel just doesn't care. And you know what? I guess there are companies that are trying to make toys. It's not a priority. It's just throw shit out there. They're buying Turtle Crossover. They're buying something. Do Transformers next. We'll do Star Wars. We'll take out a big deal with Disney.
I mean, you brought up the G.I. Joe thing. If they're already crossing over with Transformers, G.I. Joe might be right around the corner.
Which G.I. Joe Transformers makes sense because Hasbro had it, and even though I don't think I never read the first crossover, but I remember when when Image had the rights and they were doing like a crossover. It was intriguing, but I never finished it. And then they did like a World War II crossover, like G.I. Joe around in World War II and then Transformers around in World War II. I remember buying the first issue of that. Like, that's kind of a neat concept, but I don't want to see G.I. Joe in ancient times, Thank you, Papa Huds. But that makes sense because they both exist on Earth.
Yeah,
they're at war.
Yeah,
and it's very easy to picture Megatron coming in contact with Cobra Commander, and Destro, who is a weapons expert, is conversing with them of like how to better their needs. Like, we can help you harness and find more Energon. And I could see that the Joes coming in contact with the Autobots, that we have something that we seem to be aware that there are apparently large scale robots interacting with Cobra forces. What are they? We need to figure out more about this. Doing recon research, like, oh, wait, it's not just them, it's other robots.
Mm-hmm.
What are they on the same side? And you come to find out, no, the Autobots, they're trying to stop these other robots. And just, yeah, it makes sense because they take place in the same world.
Mm-hmm.
Is it overly science fiction, meaning with real world military? Yeah, but there's a little bit more of a fantasy element to G.I. Joe because of what Cobra is. Not that it started out that way, but you still have a little bit more, crazier concepts. Not the 87 way before people start, taking shit all over that. Up to that point, I feel like I feel like that's a crossover that still works. You could have GoBots versus Transformers. I don't give a shit. GoBots is awesome. That's a crossover that I think could still work because Hasbro bought Tonka. Tonka was released by GoBots was released by Tonka. That's a crossover. Why hasn't that been done?
Don't worry about it. Coming soon. Matt's Universe X G.I. Joe. Figures out shortly.
Yeah, Skeletor with the hooded cover. Oh wait, can't do that because hooded cover commander means KKK.
Yeah.
Just fucking Neanderthal mentality, people. God, man.
We touched on this.
Moon Knight wears a hood over his head too. Like, does that mean KKK too? Baron Zemo wears a mask over his head. Does that mean a racist as well?
They changed it with that TV show. Anyway, I'm not gonna get you on that path. We touched on this earlier. Ryan, what do you think of the introduction of Scaremare by Mondo, Scareglow's new steed, which is now considered canon for Master Universe by Mattel? I don't particularly like it or see the need for a horse for Scareglow. Yeah.
Oh, right. You couldn't be more right. And I don't give a shit what Mattel says because everything they're doing right now in the last 10 years, they clearly they don't know shit about Master of the Universe. So they consider everything. They consider everything Scott and Alec wrote on those shitty bios. That's canon now.
Yeah.
Everything came after that is canon now. Everything's canon because they're not paying attention. They don't care. They're hiring people who can't draw to do the mini comics. They hire people who can't write. They write in crayon, but they are reversed for stories for Master of the Universe.
GoBots has crossover with Transformers, and some GoBots characters are regulars in Transformers, like Bug Bite.
Well, I want to say now that after I said that, I thought maybe there was some sort of crossover somewhere, but I haven't read any modern Transformer comics, not since when Dreamwave had it back in the early 2000s, and even then it wasn't too long lasting in terms of like holding my attention. Yeah. So I don't know if it was good or not. I hope it was because GoBots deserves a good crossover because I like the cartoon and I like Transformers. They both deserve a good crossover because to say the Renegades teaming up with the Decepticons, fuck yeah, man, that'd be awesome.
In terms, this is when we were talking earlier about not taking our action figures and playing with them outside. Johnny saying, the instant I learned that sand getting into the wheels of my diecast cars would affect how the wheels would spin, I never took my toys to play in the playground after that outside of Green Army Man.
Yep. And even then, I didn't play with Army Man outside either. Everything was like with building blocks or blankets or the floor, like just being imaginative of what, is it a cave? Is it a canyon or whatever?
Yeah.
Or a bank. Because they used to have everyone robbing banks. I'd have Cobra forces robbing banks.
Toys went home straight from the store and never left the house because I was worried some bully would steal them from the playground.
Yeah.
I never took toys to school with me ever.
The one time I did, and which I swear to God, this was the weirdest thing. I never told anyone they were in there. And I had gotten the talking Marvel superheroes from Toy Biz. I got Venom and Cyclops for my birthday. And one of my classmates, just for whatever reason, went to the back and stole them out of my backpack. And eventually, me and this kid would become friends the following year. But that was the weird part, is that this kid decided to just randomly walk back there and open my backpack, see that I had 2 action figures, took them. And I remember, at some point in the day, I just went, because I was proud of them. I just wanted to have in my backpack. And I remember going and telling my teacher, like, I had 2 action figures in my backpack and they're gone. And she sought it out, and by God, we tracked him down, and he had them. I don't know how we narrowed it down, but that was the only time I ever took action figures outside of trading. I would take kid figures to school to trade.
Yeah,
but that was the only time I did it because I was so proud of those talking superhero figures with the backpacks that would hit the sounds and voices.
Yeah, I remember those. I think that was more of a thing. Probably just some kid we've known. We've known a couple over the years that would just try to go back there to look for food. to eat.
Yeah.
So that's probably what happened. It was a kid doing that, came across that. Oh, these are neat. Let me take them.
Yeah.
Here's another question. Ninjor Master Universe versus Ninjor Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 3. Who would win? Mighty Morphin Power Ranger Ninjor can't go Megazord mode. Do you remember this character? You remember
I
this?
do not. No, because that was when I was not watching Power Rangers. I watched the first 2 seasons faithfully, and I guess Tommy was introduced to the White Ranger in the 3rd season, was he not?
I think so. I don't know. I'm
yeah.
not.
Once
I'm
after
not
the movie came out, I didn't watch any more Power Rangers. Like I enjoyed the movie when it came out,
Same.
but I did not watch.
I think I watched a little bit after the movie came out, and this is obviously not too much longer after that. I do remember seeing him, but I don't know. I don't remember much about him. So you got to go Master Universe now.
Well, I'm sorry, dude, but I know you're probably hoping for a much more dynamic. But it's Master of the Universe. I don't care. Orca would trump the hell out of Ninja from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers because it's Master of the Universe. Nobody trumps Master of the Universe. It's the definitive property, the definitive mythology, and Ninja from Master of the Universe kicks the shit out of all the ninjas, except maybe Snake Eyes. But even then, Ninja's still going to win because it's Master of the Universe.
Parker Luck, what's that? Matt Bird always thought that with how late Scareglow was introduced in the original series line toys, I thought he was Skeletor returning from the dead after death, but how the death occurred was by King Hiss.
I mean, I could see them, because they were kind of going in some odd direction with Skeletor, like making him Randor's brother and He-Man's uncle, which is stupid. But if they were to go that route, like, I mean, you know what? I think if you were kind of come up with your own logic, I think that would work fine. Like, I could see why you come up with that and have King Hiss be the one responsible, and then Skeletor comes back with a vengeance as an evil spirit. I wouldn't make it canon myself, but you know what? I think for a concept for what you had, I think that works just fine.
Well, speaking of uncles and stuff, Ryan, I hate Keldor.
Oh, Keldor sucks balls. It's this dumbass concept that as much as I champion everything that the Vintage line was doing, I mean, yeah, they botched a lot of mini comics in terms and character portrayals, but having to feel like we need to change things up. We're going to make Skeletor. We're give him like a Darth Vader perspective, and he's going to be related to our hero. Like, why? You don't need to do that. And again, when I first found that out, I remember seeing rumblings on the org. Like, apparently this mini comic alludes to the He-Man Skeletor. I was like, what? And when I finally got him, like, I don't see that at all. It just felt like it was only and then you find out from Lee Norton, the editor, that yes, that was the direction that we're going, and that was an interview that they had on him and Eldor back in the day, and that's when it's like, oh my god, it was they were going to do that. Like that, just like Hulk Hogan doesn't work for me, brother. it's a terrible idea. That the He-Man and Skeletor should not be related in any form whatsoever. The ultimate evil versus the ultimate hero. No, that adds nothing to the endless battle on Eternia. There's nothing to that. And we don't need to bring King Randor into it because, well, we have an action figure coming. Let's make it. Was like, no, he's the king of Eternia. It's Adam's father. You don't need to have any more relevance in terms of like importance to the story. It's He-Man's story, idiots.
Matt Bird, didn't they have a glow-in-the-dark Star Wars figure or a Transformer that glowed in the dark? Fedmon kind of popped in responding to that, saying that some Transformer pieces were glow-in-the-dark, but not full-on figures.
Oh, okay.
You remember anything in Star Wars line glowing in the dark? I'll look it up.
I do not, because I would have thought, the Stormtrooper or the Snow Trooper, any of the troopers that were all like mainly white, because I feel like glow in the dark figures tend to be more white figures or more kind of clear colored figures, and I don't think any of the vintage Star Wars line, nothing from Ewoks or droids either was anything glow in the dark. It outside of like an unnecessary gimmick, which Star Wars released a lot of unnecessary characters in the line, especially like a Return of the Jedi. I mean, you've got some of the most like mundane characters that
I can appreciate that though. It's like a lot of deep cut shit.
It is, and
I appreciate that.
No, and I think had He-Man been given that treatment, where you're getting like a lot of like original formation in the main line, like, yeah, it'd been awesome. And I do appreciate, that Star Wars, they went so deep of releasing characters that showed up for a split second in the cantina, or they're in the background of Return of the Jedi in Jabba's palace. Like, it's cool that they saw that character, like that could be an action figure, and then you use your own imagination, because the encyclopedia was not out at the time. They weren't writing books. You pretty much kind of come up with your own idea of like who this guy was.
Yeah.
And I like that, that's it. But I just feel like they get crazy with that with Star Wars, like to the point where it's like, come on, man, like this guy you can't even hear what he's saying, and you're gonna make an action figure. I'm like, I mean, whatever.
But
I don't need every like, just like, what if they release every background character of He-Man as a figure? No, I don't need that. I don't need this guy passing the background is holding a goblet in a tavern of the Laughing Swan Inn and Secret of the Sword. Like, no, I don't need him.
You say that now, but you 25 years ago, do you think you would have bought all those? I think you would have.
The way I was carrying on about the 2002 variants, no matter how bad they were, like I gotta buy it.
Yeah, you bought one in the box and one to have loose.
Yeah,
of everything.
Yeah,
That's crazy to think about.
It is. Yeah, from the shitty Dragon Walker that came out. I didn't buy one loose because I was just like, I just bought it from Big Lots and it sucked. And I bought 2 pterodactyls and I bought two battle hawks and God. Yeah, back then my mindset, I'd have been probably more open to buying anything as long as it was a new figure. Yeah, I'd have been all about it.
Yeah, he would have been buying all this crossover shit too.
Yeah,
without a doubt. I think you would have. I really think you would have back then.
Well, the way I was carrying on about the flight packs and shit like that back then.
yeah.
My overly happy mind just
embrace
all here, people.
I don't think anyone got as excited about those flight packs as you. That
probably, yeah. I think it's a bold statement that rings very true. The He-Man Hot Wheels. You like?
Tyler would have done this back then, but yeah, did you see they're doing the 2000?
Oh God, I can't wait to see more of that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The answer to that Fans of Power episode 222. Tyler's were Rulor and Bookor, and Nathan's was Staplor.
I have no memory of doing that at all, but
yeah,
obviously that stuck out to you, bud. So I appreciate that.
Let's see. Fedmon following up. Tommy the White Ranger. That was season 2 with the Thunder Sword. Season 3 was Ninja Swords and Shogun Swords. So,
okay, then I guess after season 2, which I feel like season 1 and 2 went on for so long because I feel like there were so many characters. I feel like that. I guess the first thing was technically like the core cast. Then you bring in Tommy as the Green Ranger, introduce Lord Zem, which I remember seeing that as like a prime time on Fox, like at 8:00 on a Sunday night. It's like, oh my God, there's a new villain coming in, and the big deal of like Tommy showing up, like, oh, I hope he's gonna be a member of the actual Rangers, like when he becomes good. And like, oh man, he's gonna take off Shell Shock, that turtle with the stoplight on his back and stuff like that, like. And characters like Scorpina and all these other things. Like I always thought that was multiple seasons, but me and Nathan talked about it before. We have a hard time sitting through. I can't. I tried as an adult. I remember we were in our late teens and we tried to be watching Power. It's like, God, turn this shit off, man. Like a lot of fond memories, a lot of nostalgia. I cannot sit and watch this stuff. It's just the acting is atrocious. It's just bad.
Yeah, I need to jump back in and give it another shot.
Nathan might, because he has a strong affinity for Godzilla movies and everything in general. So I think he can appreciate a lot of the Zord versus the more.
I think if anything, I would start to just kind of tire the basic premise of, oh, here's this monster. Oh, the monster's big. They have to defeat it.
And I love that as a kid because I
did too. But
what new monster? Because it was all to me. I loved the monster like the Nasty Night Eye guy, the pumpkin headed guy with like the upside down pumpkin on his head. Shell Shock, the evil turtle, and Goldar, and King Sphinx was always my favorite. Like I knew that moment was going to happen. Marie's going to get pissed and throw her staff on the ground, turns them big, and all right, here you Megazord.
Make my monster grow.
Yeah, and Sphinxter coming up like, here's my latest creation here, and it's this. And then you got Babu like, oh my God, it's just like, oh shut. It just drove me nuts. Like, why are all these characters dubbed?
And
because I didn't know that it was a show from Japan. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Just bugged the shit out of me. Like, how come Rita's mouth doesn't move with their words?
Yeah,
all the characters are just kind of moving like the Rangers when they're hurt, they're grabbing the chest like they're going to cardiac arrest. Oh my God, it's just like, why are they doing this in every episode?
Yeah,
but shitty acting.
But Kimberly was hot without a
Kimberly
doubt.
was hot. Jason was cool, and Tommy was cool, and Zach was cool.
Yeah,
yeah. That was when Nathan started doing that. We just couldn't start laughing because that's what Tommy did. It's sick. And it was funny as hell. I will say the Power Rangers video game for Super Nintendo fucking rocked. I love that game.
I love it. Yeah. I got that for Christmas, and
Oh.
played it, beat it that morning, and it's like, yeah, now I'm gonna eat like a sausage biscuit, and it's like Christmas morning, yeah. Tons of fun
and the
memories.
first wave of toys were awesome, like the tall ones with the articulation. That was a big deal at Christmas that those came out, and I was thrilled to get what I got for Christmas that year because they were awesome. And I hate it when they shrunk them down. They had like the flipping head gimmick.
I had the flipping head ones.
Yeah, they looked too bold, but then the villains looked awesome.
Yeah,
because they were in scale and they all looked really cool.
Did you have a morpher?
What's that?
Did you get a morpher?
No, but Josh Rapp, who had much like how your Josh had everything. This Josh Rapp, Josh Root, Josh Rapp, JR's.
Yeah.
Both were overflowing with Power Rangers. So he had the morpher, he had the Dragon Zord. I think he had Titanus, like the Brachiosaurus.
I remember Josh called me one day. He was like, "Guess what I got today?" I was like, "I don't know what." And then he was just like, da, 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 da. I'm like, "You son of a bitch! You son of a bitch!"
Yeah, that was the only time I ever got to see Tommy in the Dragon Zord was at Josh, and much like
and then I go to his house one day, and he's got a display, and he's got like these little title cards written. He's like, out with the old and in with the new. He got the new Zords too. And I was like, "You son of a bitch!" But anyway, I did have a morpher, and I fucking loved that morpher because
I had that, I'd been playing the shit out of that thing.
Oh yeah, out in the backyard. It's morphin' time.
Jason and Zach's coin in there, and just Mastodon and Tyrannosaurus, man.
Yeah, dragon shit.
Yeah, dragon shit. And I did have the Game Gear version of Power Rangers, and I remember getting that for like, because we got Game Gear for Christmas another year, and I had money to buy a game. And I really wanted to buy another game, so I bought Power Rangers for Game Gear, and I beat that. I had Mortal Kombat 2 was the game I got for Christmas, and I had Power Rangers. So those are the two games I had to play.
Mortal Kombat 2 on Game Gear,
and I beat it. I could actually. That was the first I could actually do fatalities. Was on Game Gear. I couldn't do it on Super Nintendo. Go figure.
Game Gear was ass. I never liked it.
I didn't have a Game Boy, so Game Gear when we got it was a big deal. But we only had 4 games. Derek had 2 games, and I had 2 games, and that was it. So.
Yeah, and it's not like you could really go and rent games for the game.
No, you couldn't. I remember buying Spider-Man and the Sinister Six for Game Gear from a buddy at church and played it until I beat it and gave it back to him. But other than that, I remember I beat Derek's Lion King and Derek's Jungle Book. I beat Mortal Kombat 2 and I beat Power Rangers.
Now, would you just keep it plugged in with the wall?
We got the adapter once we realized how quickly the batteries would burn out. My mom bought us each an adapter for both of our games.
Smart.
Yeah.
There you go.
So when we would travel and go to relatives' houses, we just plug it up and we're hanging out, just sitting and playing Game Gear, or just being at home playing the Game Gear.
Yeah.
Not to the point where our parents are like, "I think you're playing games too much," because we always would stop and play with action figures, watch movies, or go outside.
Or go outside. Yeah. I was the same way.
Or play, try and pretend to be Van Damme fighting Tom Poe from Kickboxer.
Johnny Cock. Remember when spending over $5 for a fast food combo was baller? Spending, I think he meant say spending under $5 for a fast food combo.
Well, I mean, $5 back in the 80s and 90s got you something special, from an action figure to packs of trading cards to a GI Joe, maybe 2 GI Joes.
Yeah.
Sometimes a small vehicle. Like I remember getting the Cobra jetpack that had Crystal Ball on the box at Hills for like $5 because it was I didn't have any vehicles, but that was the only vehicle I had until I got the Ice Saber in like 1994, and I thought Crystal Ball came with it because he has like, maybe this will come with Crystal Ball, and I have like my actual Crystal Ball figure. Like, nah, it just came with the flight pack, and that was it. But $5 back in the day, man, like
it got you places.
Yeah, it really did, man. Or you could go to the arcade, cash in that $5, have $5 worth of quarters.
Man, $5 worth of quarters, you're just like rich at that.
You're
point.
Like the $1 million man walking around in the arcade.
Actually, speaking of which, you brought that up. I don't know if you've noticed the thing where I can't remember the name of the company, but they're coming out with a tabletop and an arcade version that's going to have WrestleFest and Super Stars.
I heard about that.
But the biggest drawback is it's not going to, check this out, it's not going to have the Legion of Doom and Sergeant Slaughter in WrestleFest because they're not under Legends contracts with WWE right now. So they said that the replacements, because WrestleFest, the main villains of the game are the Legion of
Doom, yeah.
So they said replacements would be in there, and a lot of people were speculating it might be the Hart Foundation. So,
But they were good. They were good guys at the time.
I don't know.
Legion of Doom.
I don't know. But I was excited for that. Almost to the point I'm like, I think I need to get this machine. But if they're not going to be in there, I'll see who the replacements end up being for it. But I would really like to get it and just have the standalone where I can play WrestleFest and Superstars on.
Oh my God, yeah. I love that they're releasing, but when they're making changes like that, I'm like, oh boy, that's
the $1 million dream's just not going to hit the same way.
No.
I always loved it in WrestleFest when you're watching just the startup videos and stuff before you put a quarter in and select everything, and it's. I think they would play it during that, but then also as you're going through the tag team part when it's Mean Gene interviewing.
Oh yeah,
Legion of Doom, and just because you don't get the accurate voices, it's just like yeah, you know. You remember that?
I don't. I remember them talking, but I don't remember being incoherent. Like I remember watching it and just I'm just.
I think you can make out what Hawk is. Yeah. You just see, and then it turns, and then Hawk's like, yeah. I don't.
You need to do more of that. Oh.
We'll watch that after the show.
People, I've said it before. Nathan's a comedic genius, dude. He makes everything sound funny.
I'm trying to find one because Fedmon's saying there was a question about Scareglow after we got it. I just put it in there again, copy and paste, and do it, and we'll take that one. I'll move on to some of the comments that we've gotten. This first comment comes from Terrell White. This was on the character spotlight on Jitsu. I'd love to see you guys do a deep dive into the Ultimate Battleground.
Funny he says that.
Yeah, indeed, and I think I even replied, "Yeah, Tyler's got quite a few ideas for that." So,
and I will tell you this, Terrell. We can make the sequel story that I wrote to the Ultimate Battleground like a topic of discussion for one of our future episodes of Master Power Cast, because I did write a follow-up. Not that it fully explores, but it is a sequel to that particular mini comic. But I guess just exploring the Three Towers itself and the concept behind it too would be worth, like, maybe that's what we can talk about. We can talk about the Three Towers itself, the mini comic, about what it's, and then what really could have been explored more with that, because that, as we all know, like, it was, I think story-wise, it was supposed to be an alliance of, the heroes of Eternia with the Snake Man and the Horde are kind of mixed in there as well, as like a sign of like, okay, we're no longer at war. These Three Towers are a sign of like peace. We're all united. Let's bring great power to these towers here, and then realize, what, this is too much, and they sink them down in the ground, whatever. But
yeah.
But is that the, and all I feel like I interrupted you when you started reading his
no, that's all there was to it.
Okay.
He would like to see a deep dive into that. So yes.
Oh yeah, count on that then.
Yeah, we will have that in the future. All these comments pertain to our episode last week for the Who's Mini Comic Is It Anyway? Gary Buchanan, it's okay to vent about the direction you guys went. Can't share the limelight forever,
Well, I mean, the intention was to, progress, and it honestly, we just kept, I don't know what the word is, regressing. So,
yeah.
And Gary's been a loyal listener too. It's just, I will say this: the things me and Nathan have been doing here since we just to us, we would not have been able to do had we stayed the same course.
Yeah. Well, here's Fedmon's question that he asked earlier. What other weapon would you give Scareglow besides his staff? And who do you think is the rival? Who do you think Scareglow's rival enemy is? If I had 2000X Zodak as his enemy when the Classics line came along. So if you had to give him another accessory besides the scythe, what would you go? And who would Scareglow's rival be? Primary rival.
Because so many of the core cast don't really have more than one weapon. Not to say that there's no justification giving him another weapon, but the question is like another weapon. I almost feel like a real nasty looking axe. like an axe with like a spike in the back, like not like a double-sided axe like He-Man's battle axe or Skeletor's axe from Filmation, but an axe, you know, that looks very, you know, kind of demonic looking, simplistic, you know, but an axe with like a point in the back and like the big blade in the front, you know, like an axe that he would hold with both hands. Maybe not as long as that, because that kind of makes it a little redundant, because he always has a scythe, you know, something like that. Or I really like the Scythe of Doom though. Is like his main weapon. Like it's a staff that he can sword fight with people, you know, or have, you know, various battles with other characters, because it is a long range weapon with a blade at the end of it. So I really got to be honest. I really feel like that is enough. An illustration I had Kevin Sharp do for me was that I had him fighting Buzz-Off with Buzz-Off's Stinger lance. You know, like a lance versus the side of the Doom, like they're clashing it at the blood falls.
Yeah.
So I'd probably just stick with that. In terms of a rival, I feel like he is someone that could probably, and that's something I almost feel like not everyone would have to have a rival, because I feel like Merman could fight Mechanic, Merman could fight Buzz-Off, Merman could fight Clamp Champ. Even though I feel like certain characters have been kind of set up as rivals, like Ninjor and Clamp Champ, Fisto and Jitsu, Man at Arms and Beastman. Honestly, because I almost look at Scareglow as like is like someone that would eventually separate from the pack.
Yeah.
He-Man. You know, He-Man is the ultimate champion. Like I see him as like would view He-Man as like that's the ultimate trophy. If I can break He-Man, you know, not Skeletor wants to defeat him, and you know, I just like Skeletor is like, if I could frighten this man, if I could really make this guy cower in fear, if I could do something that would make him tremble and not like jump up behind him and scare him, but, yeah, like you know, like shitty Star Wars fan film. But do something that would make He-Man very nervous and worried and, yeah, unable to think coherently because of what Scareglow is either threatening him with or attacking him with. And the power of fear, too, like Emiliano and Val went with the idea that he, much like the Scarecrow, knows what scares you. So he presents that in a lot of images, like Batman's version of Scarecrow. Which is, you know, for the time I thought was fine, but I don't think I would rely on that. I'd like to think that he's someone that would rely on manipulation, create a lot of scary images in general to frighten you, or just, you know, like the way he attacks people, sneaks up on people, and, you know, his look itself would just be, not with everybody, you know, like I feel like he could frighten a lot of people, but he would have to work a little harder to be bringing He-Man to his knees. Like, how could I bring fear to the most powerful man in the universe?
Yeah,
I think he would look at that as like that's the ultimate prize. Like, I'm not after trying to take over this planet. I'm more about, you know, doing what I want to do, and seeing certain individuals as challenges, and then to get, you know, revenge on Skeletor for bringing him from his own dimension or wherever he was running. Like, I can't get back now. My powers don't rely in magic and things like that. I'm more about, you know, embodying fear and creating spells that would scare individuals and things like that. Not hallucinations that would make them think like, you know, like in the Power of Fear, Man at Arms fears about getting old. You know, He-Man being a failure to his parents. Like, that's cool for that. But my take would be just be a little bit more, you know, similar to Skeletor, but not full on like magic where he creates, you know, I don't know. I feel like there's so much more work to be done with that. But someone that relies strictly on fear, creating scary images. I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over again here. I haven't answered this question at all, Evan. I'm sorry. Yes, He-Man. I would make He-Man his main rival. Is that he is the most challenging threat. Like, yeah, I've already said that. I need to shut up. Sorry.
Hot Spicy Grill is kind of mentioning Roboto and all of this and Scareglow. How I mean, because you think about Roboto, like, yeah, it kind of has feelings, but at the same time also a robot. So could that work in a
I don't
dynamic
see
of
Scareglow looking at that as like a worthy adversary of like because
That's-
he's a robot. I
that's fair.
almost felt like Roboto would be kind of being going to battle with Trapjaw.
Yeah.
You know, even though Roboto is a full robot, you know, Trapjaw is more or less like a cyborg, or like, you know, not full cyborg. I take that back. He is a human. You know, he's like an inbreed of machine and human of some kind with weapons attached. You know, he's a walking arsenal, much like Roboto is. So I kind of put the two of them together as rivals. But you know, if everyone, if your idea is Roboto for that, hey, I won't argue that. But for me personally, I think He-Man would be the worthy rival. Roboto would be Trapjaw. You know, things what they do kind of match up. You know.
Yeah. But Hot Spicy Grill popping in. Hey, it's been a while. I just noticed the name change. So flowing back into comments that we received on last week's episode, Mike Lomax. But enjoying what you and Tyler have been doing the last few months, going in depth into parts of Master Universe I am not familiar with. Most of the time, didn't even know it existed. I also like hearing what your opinions are, as there could be something useful. So please keep doing what makes you happy. Oh yeah, we're not going nowhere.
No, and we are constantly telling each other almost every week after every episode, whether it's Spinnerack or He-Man or something else, we're like, we're happy. I mean, we just are ecstatic to be doing what we're doing here with nothing to worry about, no one to bring down the momentum or the passion of the topic, or people showing up unprepared or not caring whether they're prepared or not, and just upset they're not the center of attention and shit like that. It's me and him, or one of our beloved guests like James or Tom, or maybe someday Danielle.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. But where the focus is, we're just talking about something that we're really passionate about, a character, an episode, an idea. And that's the focus. And everyone shows up ready and eager to talk about it. And we don't have to worry about, did you show up prepared? Or do you want to talk about this? Can you talk about this? Are you bored?
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. And we are happy, genuinely happy after every episode we do. And that's something you can't put a price on. And we're thankful that we're on this path we're on, guys.
Yep. Casey Duncan, great episode. Thanks for making Masters fun.
Thank you, Casey. And thank you for your constant support, dude. He's been loyal to the end.
Yeah. There's been a lot of loyal listeners.
Yeah, and it's awesome. As small as our podcast is, man, we have a lot of loyal listeners who listen to everything and give us regular feedback. And it means a lot. It really does. It keeps us motivated. Like, no joke. Like, we don't take comments for granted. People leave us stuff. It motivates us and inspires us, like, to continue to keep doing better than the last episode.
Yep. And that's why I've made it more of a point now to make sure that I recognize and read any of the comments that get left on each episode, the following episode. That way the recognition is there, much in the same vein of how we have our live chat here. So appreciate the live chat being with us as well. A couple more of these. We'll take one more question. We'll go ahead and we'll wrap it up. Brian Clifton, as someone who enjoyed Fans of Power, I agree it got out of control with everyone talking over each other. It seemed like it became chaotic. I've been enjoying the new format. Always liked the Spinnerack the best due to it being more streamlined, and now the Masters content is the same way. I hope you all parted ways all right. But you two always do a great show. I'm always on Replay Squad, but I don't miss an episode. So, yeah, even though you're watching us after, you never catch us live, Brian. Always appreciate that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. What you could be watching 2 months down the road, or the day we do it, or the day after. It doesn't matter. You're still
week after
time.
As long as you're watching and enjoying it, that's all that matters to us. As far as the chaos and talking over each other, that's kind of what I meant to say last week when I was saying everything felt loud. It was too much. It was too many voices, too many.
A lot of people were it's like it's my turn to try and be funny. It's my turn to talk. Like it's like there's nothing natural of like everyone kind of coming together and having a lot to say. It's like, oh my God, I hope they have something to say. And when you give them that opportunity, sometimes it's just like they just kind of shit at it, and it's like, okay, why did we bother? You know, or why did you bother to show? If you really weren't interested, why did you show up tonight? To make it look like you were interested to talk about what the rest of us are here to talk about. The rest of us took time to watch, read, research, whatever we're going to talk about. And whoever decides I didn't do it, or I forgot, or it's just, You know, and it's not so much of a difference of opinion. We encourage. If you didn't like it, that's great. Explain to us why you didn't like it. Don't just sit there and say it was stupid. I really couldn't get into it. Like, the whole point of saying you like or dislike something, explain why. This is why it's so important for me and Nathan to do this when James is on or Tom's on, is we give detailed explanations of why this works so well or why it doesn't work so well. That's what makes intriguing conversation. Don't just show up and sit there and say, yeah, I couldn't get into it, you know, or, you know, no, I didn't do it. Well, why are you here? You know, it's not fair to everyone else who took the time, whether they're busy or not, to watch, read, or research something that a lot of us are eager to talk about. It's insulting to the listeners. It's insulting to the rest of us who took the time to do it. It's not fair.
And to tack onto that, it goes beyond that too. It was turning more into Tyler and I are the ones coming up with the topics week to week.
Well, damn it, I've said
you would talk
99% of the time. It was me and Nathan putting together ideas. Not to say there were times where others did suggest stuff, but for the most part, me and Nathan were coming up. And I'm sorry, Nathan, I just cut you off.
No. Yeah, no, you're fine. You'd be like, all right, well, what are suggestions? And it would sometimes be met with silence, or it would just be something that is just there as like a joke. And I'm like, okay. So it turned into a point of what we're doing. And it really started to feel like I'm just wasting my time. And I think I mentioned this last week, that it felt like it was a waste of people watching us and their time. Like, I want to put something out there that, like, yes, obviously it's hard to get people excited. Oh, you want to sit down and listen to two guys talk for 2 hours. But those of you that do, I want it to be something that you walk away from and not feel like, man, that was a colossal waste, or I didn't really enjoy myself. And it was just turning into nothing more than, oh, we're starting the show. Oh, there's a hiccup with someone saying something, or, oh, someone's stuff froze, and we have to focus on that instead of the flow of conversation that we're having. It just kept starting and stopping, and it was just every week that way.
Yeah,
and it got old.
And to think that we've been doing it as long as we have, people still think it's cute to fuck up and draw attention to themselves because they just are focusing on being a screw up, because it's more about, I'm being funny. Aren't I witty and silly? And it's like, no, we're here to talk about He-Man and She-Ra. We're not here to put ourselves over as an individual talent. And I put that in quotations, okay? Nathan and I are just two guys, regular guys. We're not claiming to be any YouTube sensations, talents, or any of that other stuff. We're just here celebrating the greatest mythology and amongst other things from movies and comic books. You know, we're not here to get ourselves over. We're here to get the content over, to get you inspired to want to go seek it out, learn more about it. That is it. We're not looking to get kickbacks from Mattel or anybody else.
Well, obviously, that all the shit you talk about, there's no way that would happen anyway.
Well, no, it would happen anyway. But if that were the case, we would have been, sucking the balls in Mattel years ago. And it's just, and I'm too strong in my convictions to ever do anything like that.
But you do get a lot of that in the YouTube landscape of people that are kind of like fakely positive about stuff because they're doing it in hopes of getting in good with whatever. Whereas you and I, it doesn't matter. Like, we will just always be honest about it as best we can.
And it's more fun. It's not about the whole point of like, I want to be negative for the sake of like, because hate videos draw so much attention. Like, that's a big thing on YouTube. I ain't in the business of that. And I've seen a lot of them, and a lot of them are just really bad.
Yeah.
Like, sure, some of them share the same opinion as me, but the way they're marketed on YouTube with the algorithm, like, I hate this. Here's why. And it's a 10-minute video of some idiot trying to act like he knows what he's talking about, but he drew you in because he says he hates something that you hate as well.
And yet, most of the time, it's just more people that don't show their face. Anyway,
and that's another silly thing too. It's like, come on, people, like, get over yourselves. Show your face, and honestly, it's not really about showing your face. And I know some people they like to put faces with the conversation, things like that too. But the fact that we show our face, that's not where we're doing this. It's just a change of the format. We're here, with proper backgrounds and stuff, but it's not about so people can look at our faces and say, "Oh, here's how we look." Do you think we're hot and whatever and all those silly nonsense? That's not what it's about. Could we go to where no video? Sure, but it's on YouTube. YouTube tends to be more visual as opposed to like being on like outlets where you download strictly the audio. But anyway, it's just tiresome of thinking like you're looking forward to doing something and you're embarrassed by the behavior. And I will say this, I'm not going to go into great detail about this, is that when we decided to break away, when I had my fill, I was like, I'm not doing this. Nathan had his fill. The option was thrown out to keep going.
Oh yeah, I mean, we can. Let me read this comment from Johnny, and then I'll get into.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not going to go too late because I guess if we're addressing this stuff, people, I'm sure they have questions, concerns. We're not going to go into details because we're not here to deliberately bash and stir up drama on YouTube and all that. It's like that's a waste of time. We're not interested in any of that shit, and that's why we're not really delving too deep into any of this stuff.
Right. Johnny, you're here in the chat, but you also left a comment on last week's video, so appreciate you doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
Going into detail. Love the current format as no one's speaking over each other and you two still have great banter and flavor text. No intentional shade here, but in the previous format, there were many cases where one or two hosts would have no clue what's happening, or you could tell they weren't really interested, and then it would be a, what did you think of X, Y, and Z? It was good, I think. Or they just spent half the episode antagonizing Joe or Tyler. The biggest benefit to the old Fans of Power format was the much more regular schedule. I knew that if I was at home on Sunday evening, 9 out of 10 times Fans of Power would be on for the company. Thanks for the Sunday traditional, but we are in a new era now. And I mean, obviously that's something with the schedule being the way that it is because, well, Tyler wants to go to bed earlier. He's actually going to go to bed when we're done with the show now. So it was easy. I wish I was still working first shift and we could do the show Fridays like Tyler and I were doing consistently when we were doing Spinner Rack and then those last few episodes of Fans of Power. I wish we could keep it Friday nights, but that just wasn't in the cards unless I have a down week from work or whatever, then we'll do something on Friday. So that's why it is always important if you want to get notified when we're live and you want to be in the chat to make sure that you ring the bell. Because like tonight, it's 6. Tyler was out of town yesterday. He got back in a little bit earlier today, had to do a couple things, and we aimed for 6 o'clock. So tonight's kind of felt familiar in that regard of like a Sunday evening night show.
But I think Nathan's got things he does in his personal life. I got things to do in my personal life. Even though it's on the weekend, we still have things we want to do or need to do.
Yeah.
And we try to make sure if Saturday doesn't work, then we'll do it on Sunday. But we also want to make sure, I got to get up and go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to do late nights on Sunday, especially if it's, it's just, we did that for a long time. I paid for the price for a lot. And it makes you feel bad when a bad episode happens.
Yeah. And that was kind of, for a while, that was part of it too, is just the way most of those episodes were flowing towards the end. Like I was miserable. And
we both were. And I remember Nathan didn't want me to quit. I'm like, dude, I'm wasting personal time. Like I could be going to sleep and getting a jump ahead of like quality rest for the long day ahead.
Yeah,
I'm wasting my time. I shouldn't be dreading talking about Master of the Universe, but when I'm getting to the point where I don't want to talk, that's a bad problem if I can't talk about He-Man at any point. And I didn't want to do it anymore. Not at all. Not with anybody.
Yeah.
And I hated leaving Nathan to do it, but Nathan felt obligated to keep it going because Nathan's a trooper like that. And it got to where every day the next is, that was fucking miserable. Oh my God, I hated that. And it's disheartening to feel like he's given up his own like we had no podcast without Nathan. He could be doing something with Emily or doing something else that makes him happy. But instead, he's devoting time each weekend to getting things up and running, getting the visuals good, doing research, getting the visuals, doing all the hard work so no one else has to do it. And not getting a single thank you or appreciation for the time he ever does. That way, he's putting a camera in front of people so they can have a good time. Instead, it's more about like, I'm on camera. Look at me. I'm on YouTube. Isn't this funny? No, it's not funny. It's stupid. It's irritating. It's juvenile. It's fucking dumb.
Well, and to piggyback off of that, because, one could look at the scenario and be like, well, you are the one producing the show. You should be the one to lay out the stuff like that. And trust me, like there were times where it came out off camera, not in a bad way, but you have to be sort of critical. But then it also turns into a thing of and I can't speak for them personally, but I think that they would take it personally. And then that's when you would get certain things where the following episode, it's like someone's looking mopey on it and everything. And it's like, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? All this stuff. Circling back to what I'm trying to think of that one train of thought. Oh, yes. Tyler brought it up. So we're reaching into this. Tyler hasn't been on the Sunday shows for a while. I'm reaching a point where I'm pretty much done. Tyler and I, at the time, are doing the Friday shows. We're doing Spinner Racks. I think it was strictly just Spinner Racks, right?
Spinner Rack, and I think we did like other cartoons and things like that, or movies. Just it wasn't always comic, but we did do a lot of comic book talk then. Yeah.
So we had the Friday thing, and I reached a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do this with Tyler on Fridays. Put it in a message to everyone else. I'm like, I'm not happy. I'm just going to go do this. If you guys want, I'll still set everything up for Sundays. You can keep that going. It was met with no response.
Crickets.
So I gave that a couple days and I was like, okay, well, that's when the gears started going. And I'm like, well, I think at the time you and I did a Fans of Power on a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, let's just go this way. And that pretty much brings us up to speed, really. I will say too that Rebecca did message me a little bit after that and was like, well, hey, I can do the hosting thing on there. And I'm not comfortable. It's like, here, have the StreamYard log in and have all of my payment information and all it. Have you log into this to use it. I wasn't comfortable with that.
And plus, at the time, Nathan was paying for the service. No one else was offering anything. And right now, me and Nathan are working on it together because we are going forward together. So we are paying it. But at the time, Nathan was the only one putting out money, and no one else was willing. And it didn't make sense for something Nathan was paying for to turn it over to somebody else.
And StreamYard's not cheap. It was cheaper.
No, it's not.
It was cheaper then, and it's way more expensive now. If you
Yeah.
haven't looked at the pricing for that stuff, StreamYard now, just with this plan, there's an advanced plan that's like twice the price, but this is like $400 and some for the year. I think it's like $36 a month, but I just did the annual plan. It only used to be a little over 200 like last year and prior to that when we first started using it. So that was the other thing that factored into it is like I'm paying for StreamYard, and Tyler had mentioned it. Like I'm getting this stuff together, and times that I would ask certain individuals for things, I would have to wait a few days and then re-ask. It's like, hey, where's this stuff for the show? Like, I want to get this stuff together. Like, da-da-da-da. And so it's just at the end of the day.
It was insulting Nathan because Nathan wants to get this stuff done in advance so the show looks as good as it can when we're ready to go. And people have got nothing but time on their hands to get images together that they say they've got. And they're homing around doing God knows what, none of our business. But you know what? They're being asked one simple thing. Give me what you're wanting me to present on the show. And they wouldn't do it. To the point where Nathan's telling me he's ready to say, you know what? No show this week. Because it's not fair. It's not fair for Nathan to spend his time,
a lot.
His free time trying to put this together. And all you're asking is someone who's got nothing but time on their hands. Can you send me this? Yeah, I'll get it done to you early this week. Here's Friday. Nathan's got plans on the weekend because that's his time off. And he is trying to get those shit together. It's not fair. And this is not one time, not two times, not three times. It happened a lot, which is why me and Nathan got to where it's like, you know what? We're not asking anyone else what they want to do. You and I are going to put this together. We'll find a way to either recover something we've already done before or put a new spin on it or whatever. We're not going to anyone else asking for permission because even though it was a group, we did file it. It's like, okay, would you guys do anything particular? Most of the time, nothing was thrown at us.
Yeah, it was just like it was just a shrug. Oh,
shrug or making fun of the options that were thrown out. We'd even get multiple choices, like would you like to do this, or this? Sometimes they just look at it and say nothing. It's like we're trying to be as cooperative and as inclusive as we possibly can, and we're wasting our time. It's like it's embarrassing to do this when it makes us feel like the only purpose to showing up for is the attention of the week. We're here. Look at us. We're on a live stream. I'm getting attention. And you know what? If that was your priority, so be it. But that's not what we're doing this. We're not doing this for individual attention. We're bringing attention to something that we're really passionate about. That is it. Cut and dry. It's a labor of love. We get nothing out of this other than feeling good that we're celebrating something I have always wanted to talk about, not just He-Man, not just She-Ra, but other things, because that's why it's important to break it up. And when you decide to do something that's not He-Man related, some people are like, well, I don't know anything about that. Well, then watch it. Well, I don't really want to. Well, then don't show up then.
Yeah.
The rest of us want to do something different.
Yeah.
Take a break from He-Man. It can't always be He-Man. It'll be He-Man most of the time, but it's nice to talk about a movie, an action movie from the 80s, or Turtles, or Brave Star, or a comic book, because it's different. Something different to talk about. Then we'll come back to it with a refresh. Like, I don't know, man. If I can't be the center of attention, it's like, dude, no, we're not doing this. And we did it a lot. We put up with it a lot. We apologized for things we probably shouldn't even apologize for.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to be fair and inclusive with everybody. And what did it get us? Frustrations, headaches, and just like throwing in the towel.
Yeah. Yeah.
All out of free effort to try and bring together a great idea that some people really liked in terms of what we were trying to do. We started finding out more and more people were not liking the way things were going, because it was getting out of control, because people were not taking the idea of what we're doing seriously.
Yeah.
And that's the waste of time. Why are we bothered doing this? A podcast should be fun, and it should be about what it's supposed to be, not getting yourself over about what's happening in your personal life. Or look what I did. Look what I made. Look what I'm doing. Look at me shucking and jiving here for attention. Like, that's not what talking about He-Man She-Ra is supposed to be about, people. And it should never have gotten that far. But that's what happens when you're trying to be polite to everybody and their personalities.
Yeah, that's basically it for everyone. That's more or less all that stuff. I've had conversations with other people and listeners alike when they've asked about the situation. I've been honest with them about it. I think a big misconception of the thing is people thinking that it was like, oh, this big tight knit thing, and I'm like, it's like friends to a degree. Sure. Do I know, like, on a personal level, like I know Tyler? Absolutely not. Am I close with them like I'm close with Tyler? Absolutely not. So, that was pretty much on that. And the show itself now, and always has been too, is a great way not only for us to talk about our interests, go in depth, create stories, do fun stuff like the power ratings and kumites. But Tyler and I get to hang out because we spend time together, like, in person, but also this is a good way for us to just hang out as well. So
because we have busy lives, we're not weirdos to sit at home and don't leave the house. Like, we have jobs, we have personal lives, we have downtime or priorities in our lives we have to get done. And we don't always have time to hang out. So a lot of times when we this is our way of like catching up. We text and talk every day. Yeah. But, this is us like conversing and having a good time and getting a chance to, have conversations about fun stuff too. But for the most part, it's where am I going with this?
The point is,
like I ranted and raved so damn much.
The point is, this path is awesome. I'm glad that we're on it, and I'm glad all of you have that are here in the chat, that comment, that click on this every week, that you've stuck with us through these changes. And for people that haven't watched in a while and popped in like a hot spicy grill, I hope this iteration of the show is more enjoyable, easier to digest, because once again, I can't stress enough, it was too many voices and it was too much talking over each other. It was just everybody, and I've gone back and watched some of that old stuff, and immediately I'm just like, it's stimulation overload with the people talking. But Johnny Cock, appreciate you, Nathan and Tyler. You're like the younger cousins I didn't have growing up. And then final question. Have you guys been keeping tabs on the beat 'em ups for Master Universe and the Marvel Cosmic Invasion?
I've heard of, obviously we've heard of him. I've heard about the Cosmic Invasion, which look pretty cool, but I don't have any way of playing video games. So I just see videos that Nathan sends me, like, oh, that looks awesome. It'd be cool to play that, but that's about as far as it goes.
Well, the Cosmic Invasion, the Marvel's beat 'em up that's coming out, has 15 characters selectable, because they only had, I think, like 6 or 7 the last.
Yeah, I sold a few. I'm like, that's it? Like, that's kind of sparse, but whatever.
So now we get Beta Ray Bill, Black Panther, Captain America, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Iron Man, Nova, Phoenix, Phyla Vell, Rocket Raccoon, She-Hulk, Spider-Man, Storm, Silver Surfer, Venom, and Wolverine.
I'd say I'm pretty down with most of that roster.
Yeah. And in terms of the Dragon Pearl of Destruction, the title for the Master Universe beat 'em up that's coming out, I don't know if they've set a release date. I would assume it's probably next year at some point. But that trailer video that they showed looked really impressive. And
I was all about it. It's like a lot of Filmation love here and references to Granomir and
Chakotay's in it, and I'm like, all right, hell yeah! So
oh my god, like it's
clearly
the only way you can top it is you can play as like other heroic warriors, not just Man at Arms and Tila and He-Man.
I think She-Ra is going to be playable.
Oh, that's right. I remember seeing She-Ra. That's right. Yeah. But it'd be cool if you had like access, like if you beat it, you can unlock, Cyclone or Clamp Champ or Buzz Off or a Fisto or something like that too, But it's awesome. Like, you know what? Hopefully it succeeds, so they'll make more.
I love that all these properties are getting retro, looking.
Like it's cool. Like when Turtles was getting, and then the Toxic Crusaders, they got one. Like I hope that they realize that these beat 'em ups are the way to go with a lot of these old properties. And you know what? Treat it with respect, and you guys can keep making it for the rest of your lives.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. Crazy Fun Super Adventures. This is actually Brad Collins. So hey guys, just joined late. Sorry, looking forward to listening to you tonight. Hope you guys are doing okay. We're doing fantastic.
We're on top of the world. We have been since Master Powercast was created, and we're hope you're doing great. And thanks for sticking with us all this time, bud.
Yeah. Well, with that, I hope everyone enjoyed our deep dive on Scareglow. I hope you appreciate understand to the answers that we gave, why Fans of Power has changed to Master Powercast, because we didn't talk about it for a while. We kind of like hinted at things, but the past couple weeks we've kind of given you more about how it all went down. We probably won't even talk
as far as we're going to to go with it.
Like, we're not going to. It's like Tyler said,
to nitty gritty details about individuals because it needs it. I think we covered it enough in terms of giving explanations, because we don't want to. I'm sorry, we're not into stirring up drama for the sake of no, it's just not our thing. Not interested in that. Don't want to give people unnecessary attention, whether it's negative or positive about things that happen. It's just unnecessary. It has no merit to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
But point is, we're happier doing what we're doing, and we're going to stay this course, and we're just going to continue to keep giving you the best He-Man and She-Ra content, as well as movies and comics, or other cartoons as well. And that's all you can guarantee that.
Hope you guys are looking forward to all that stuff. Actually, this will be our last Master Universe related topic for the remainder of October, because we are going to have a couple movies. We're going to have a Spinner Rack episode to fill out October, and then November we'll be back into Master Universe mode. But if you like this episode, make sure you hit that like button. Leave a comment down below. As I said, we're going to start reading all of these going forward when we get towards the end of our episode. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until later, let the power return.
Those are $500 sunglasses, asshole.
Shit. Once again, I say this every time, but I'm like, I should know this.
Oh, you should. And the fact, if you don't get this,
because you're wearing the shirt, Mortal Kombat. Jesus Christ.
I was going to say, dude, do I have to point at the shirt here?
Which
is the guy who actually broke the glasses?
That's a great looking shirt.
Yeah.
I'm in the regret it part of the get it or regret it stage with that, because I didn't jump in on those.
I got them both. I was like, I'm going to wear the villains tonight, because we were talking about a He-Man villain, so I'm going to wear the Mortal Kombat villains tonight. So
much like the shirt that you also got from the Get It or Regret It is going to be,
which will be on display next week for our first horror movie discussion.
Yeah.
Which hopefully people will enjoy, and if not, well, maybe you'll be enticed to go check it out. And if not, you know what? We're going to have a good time anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so we will catch you with a movie that I think I was going to say it's appropriate for this time of year, obviously, but I feel like it's the only time of year that you really should watch the film.
Pretty much. I mean, people can watch Christmas movies in July or whatever, but this is a Halloween. The month of October, this is the most appropriate time to watch this movie, and it's a and I'm eager to talk about it, because Nathan hasn't watched it in a long time, so I'm very eager to pick it apart with him and see if he thinks it's worth a damn. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah,
and
And it's
You know,
it's a little out of the box.
Yeah.
In a way. Put it that way. I think we won't tell you spoil it for you just yet. We may have mentioned it in passing like last week.
Yeah.
Or the week before.
So if you listen to previous episodes, you can probably get an idea.
You probably already know what it is.
Yeah.
But hope you all join us for that. Thanks to everyone that joined us in the live chat tonight. Make sure to leave those comments. All of you guys that watch us on the replays, like Brian and Mike and all those guys. But
so thank you everybody for your time.
Yeah.
Maybe you can make it.
Can I ask you something?
Certainly.
Who gives a fuck what you think?